Hello, And welcome to Azerbaijan for round 4 of the 2023 GPVWC Formula Sprint 2 Championship. My name is Edward Hunter, and joining me here at the Baku street circuit is Stephen Lexow. Stephen, are you looking forward to this 2 races on this incredible street circuit, which is it's a really challenging one, lots of high speed, but also quite slow and technical sections that can easily catch you out?
Well, yeah, good evening, everybody. I'm very much looking forward to it. Baku has always been very exciting in terms of some variety, some unexpected results, and I think that especially race 2 today could lead to maybe another race winner this year.
Yeah, absolutely, of course. But running away with the championship at the moment as qualifying just gets underway now, I believe, is Luke Mitchell, of course, for the, I believe, driving for, let me just get my bearings here. Alpha Sierra, that's alongside Massimiliano Ruboli, his teammate. But Mitchell leading on 105 points at the moment. And then it's, I believe, your driver, Roy Cypher, second on 74 points. And then the next driver is, of course, Ruboli on 57, about 10 ahead of Maxime Bouliot. And then Mikhail Tuamala is in fifth position at the moment in the standings. So a pretty big lead for Mitchell at the moment. He's won 3 of the first 6 rounds in total. So both races in Imola, second in the first race in Bahrain, and then a win in the first race in Australia, of course, although the race 2 last time out didn't quite go to plan for him. So he'll be looking to strike back here, where he's been very, very competitive in free practice and probably looking to set the timing screens alight here in the next 13 minutes of qualifying.
Yeah, Luke Mitchell had quite a good start to the season, winning both races in Imola, and had a bit of bad luck in Bahrain with the second race being involved in a start incident. But he was able to strike back in Australia with the first and fifth. His championship rival at the moment, Roy Seifert, had some bad luck in Australia, so it's one bad run for each.
Indeed, and we're looking at Scott Mitchell-Malm at the moment for Kings Racing. I believe Mitchell-Malm hasn't done too many races this season due to his commitments as a journalist, of course, following real-life motor racing, including Formula 1, of course. But Mitchell-Malm, certainly one of the more competitive drivers we have in the field. Him and his teammate Jack Nichols, another motorsport commentator you may have heard from Formula E and other championships, also competing today here in Baku, as we see Mitchell-Malm negotiate Sector 2. I think he's just about to end Sector 1, I think, and enter Sector 2, so we'll see what his first split looks like for him. Of course, he's been the fastest, I believe, in practice, just ahead of his brother, of course, and championship leader Luke Mitchell, who we were talking about earlier. Kings Racing looking very quick here, as there we go, 52.457 first sector time for Mitchell-Malm, and of all the ones coming at the moment, it is by far the fastest.
Yeah, negotiating the castle section very nicely. It's very hard to jump over the entry curb, but he's done that very nicely. Going into one of the trickiest sections now, that's downhill left-hander. Very easy to lock brake or to hit the inside curb too much. He does that.
Oh, look at the way he mounted the curbs on the inside, but I suppose a lot of them are going to be doing that, especially in qualifying and his corners, just to maximize his exit.
Yeah, but his middle sector was 3 times slower than his brother's. 35.4 compared to 35.1, so I think the first shootout between the Mitchells is going to go to Luke.
It's the Mitchells versus the machine, isn't it? As they say. But anyway, Scott Mitchell-Malm powers towards the line. What's his first lap time going to be? Is it going to be under 2 minutes? Yes, it is. 1:59.4. But it is instantly beaten by Luke Mitchell. Of course, private sessions. We see Scott Mitchell-Malm just get as close to the wall at turn 1 on exit as he can get away with there. And very easy, of course, to get it wrong, especially with some of these 9-degree corners. If you turn a bit too early, you find instead of getting the perfect line, you're bouncing off the wall on the inside and into the path of disaster, as they say, Stephen.
Yep, but we have another pole position. Another guy on pole right now. Noah has been very strong also in practice and qualifying in Melbourne. Didn't have the results he wanted to, but now he's got another chance, as we see Björn and Robert mounting that curb as well and going into the into the real final corner in the dry at least.
Yeah, all looking very, very close at the moment as Scott Mitchell-Mom has set another purple first sector, but he's only 7,000. Noah Tamela is only 7,000ths ahead of Luke Mitchell at the moment. Then 83, 0.083 behind Mitchell is Alessandro Maggio, of course, who's won several races in Academy this season. So it seems like a lot of it is hooking up all the sectors, and maybe if you're not fastest overall in all of them, but you're just maybe under a tenth shy of the guy going purple, then you might be able to do enough to get on pole here. But the margins are so tight up and down the field, especially within the top 10, it must be said, as we see another purple sector from Scott Mitchell-Mom. So we'll have to see if anyone can eclipse it as we look at Seifert completing his second flying lap, I believe, for Redfern. So important for your man Roy here to get a good one in here.
Yeah, a lot of guys are doing simultaneous lap, and a lot of them are improving. I see a lot of green sectors, so it seems like the tires are very good on the second lap, as Scott Mitchell goes on top with a 158.7, very strong lap, followed by Roy Seifert now, who gets has a little excursion out of turn 1.
He did, but luckily got the lap in beforehand. So Seifert 0.261 behind, which does seem quite a distance at this early phase. But of course, there could still be more time to find. I think the second sector, he was about 2 tenths down, but only a tenth down in the first sector, and then another 2 tenths down in sector 2. So you can sort of see where sector 3 was actually pretty similar. So I can sort of see where Seifert might be looking to gain the time in the first couple of sectors. But anyway, some very impressive. It's impressive to me just how close they all are, of course, in this Academy car. As we see Ockenhaug coming at the back end of the... where is this? Yes, he's going through the final couple of corners, isn't he? 62, and then there's that long back straight, of course. So 8 minutes left to go. Here's Hadjic in the reading game. Once again, Matt in the inside. And I think that's... I forget the corner names here at Baku. I should really have that up.
Yeah, it's a lot of 90-degree corners. It's very hard to remember the names.
I think it was a turn 15, that I was thinking of there. But anyway, here we go. Hadjic now just has to plant it here through this lovely high-speed sort of snake section, 17, 18, 19, and 20. And then it's the long run to the line. This is where we're going to see them slipstreaming one another in the race. Almost certainly, Stephen. But what can Hadjic do for Tom Dillon's Reading Game Studios team? No, he's going into the pits. So Hadjic putting some fresh boots on and going to give it another attempt. But here's Mitchell-Mom, another purple sector to his name. He's trying to extend his advantage. And, this is a big opportunity. He's not done. Oh no, okay.
I think he didn't have the fuel, to be honest. He already had 2 flying laps, and...
No wonder he's so quick. The car's empty.
Yeah, but the tires really seem to hold on quite well. That the drivers are able to have so many improvements even on the third lap. And he's already got a very nice lap of 58.7. That's already faster than practice times.
Yep, here comes,
as we can see, Van der Smissen, I think he's pitting as well from the line he's taking.
Yeah, he's gone to the left quite early there, and that you got to be careful with that. That's the sort of thing sometimes in the race, if you need to pit to serve a penalty or something, and the guy behind isn't aware, they could suddenly be piling into the back of you. So it's going to take some careful coordination. There's Luke Mitchell, who has recovered a little bit, set a 159.262, just good enough for fourth. And very, very slightly behind Tuamela.
Yeah, I saw Mitchell in the 58s already on the practice serve, and also in free practice here. So I think he's gonna improve quite a bit as he's really cutting the corners, really being on the limit with the track limits.
You have to stay seven then.
You have to stay on the curb with 2 tires, and he nailed that very nicely in the first sector.
Yeah, the travel over the curbs looks like the suspension for some of these guys is set up with a little bit of travel in it, so that you've still got a responsive car when you're going over the curbs. Because otherwise, sometimes if you do the suspension a little bit too low or too stiff, then sometimes you have a little bit of a problem where the car needs to be basically going over a flat surface. Otherwise, it's not responsive.
Yeah,
These curbs, and Mitchell.
From last year.
And Mitchell looked like he, it looked like maybe he sort of has abandoned the lap, I think, because he's seen the split for Sector 2 is a little bit down on his best. But it could just be my eyes playing tricks on me here. I haven't commentated on FS2, so I'm more used to academies. I know the cars, but not necessarily all of the drivers. But anyway, here we go.
These are different cars from the academy car, so they
are. That will be why.
Faster. They only have 6 gears, and I think he might not have the tires at the perfect operation.
Oh, brilliant final sector there. So Mitchell didn't actually slow down at all. Now he's gotten himself onto the front row, just ahead of Roy Seifert and alongside his brother. I'm not sure who's the older and who's the younger brother. I've never asked, so I have to figure that out. But he is 0.249 behind Mitchell Malm then.
Yeah, and here we have the other King's Racing car.
Oh, that was close
to
Jack Nicholls.
About Luke Mitchell, I think that was his first lap on the tire, so the tire might not have been in the right temperature window. So we might see an improvement on the second lap.
I do wonder if the Kings drivers have both set up their cars very, very well, because Nicholls, I'm not sure what Jack Nicholls' best qualifying is. I think it's like 7th or 8th. In one of the earlier races, we see him twitch a little bit on the exit of turn 4, and that's turn 5, and this is 6, sorry. Oh, is that coming up? Yeah, it was turn 4. I got it right the first time. Sorry, I'm trying to second guess this. Look at the rear sliding out, actually. He gets very much over the curb, just like we saw Mitchell Malm doing through 6 there.
Yeah, they seem to have a very nice front end of the car, but if you go in a little bit too fast, that rear end is going to bite you.
Yeah, look, 3.5 temps down and into the castle section. The sparks fly underneath the car as Jack Nicholls does very, very well to keep it out of the wall and out of disaster. And again, on exit here through 9.
Yeah, I raced Jack Nicholls last year in FS2, and he had some very good days there as well. So
yeah,
let's see if he's going to have a good day here as well.
Oh, and he just completely launches it on the curb at the inside of 15 there. I think he got some serious air over the sausage curb there. So certainly not necessarily going to be the fastest lap, but certainly there's not a lack of effort on show here for Jack Nicholls, the acclaimed commentator, and rightly so, it must be said.
Yeah, as Luke Mitchell improves his time to be only 1/10 behind his brother, and Willier is going up to 3rd. Very nice lap by him.
Bit of a shock from Boulier then in the optimal esports car, only 0.045 then behind Luke Mitchell. As you say, closing the gap on his brother Scott. Jack Nicholls down to 7th then, so he did improve very, very slightly in the final sector, but his first 2 sectors were at the time ebbed away, and with Boulier getting himself into the top 3, that is given those behind a bit more work to do to get into a potential podium starting position or on the second row.
And here we have a driver I expect to have a little bit of an improvement, Noah Tuamala, but first we have we're back to Tuamala. I expect a little bit more from him. He's had some nice practice form, also in Australia. Was one of the fastest guys there actually on the practice turn, and everybody was quite surprised by that. So now he's got some pressure on his shoulder.
First sector, by the way, 52.121. So that is a couple of tenths faster than his brother. But Tuamala, we ride on board with. Yeah, here we go. We are running out of time rapidly in this session as Tuamala just has to get it slowed down and turned in there for turns 3 and 4. And again, you see how tricky these cars are to drive, especially on delivery, on power. At some of these low-speed corners, you're having to wait what feels like an age to get back on the throttle at points.
Patrick Magnussen also going into P4. Nice lap by him.
And that's the teammate, of course, of Tuamala that we're riding on board with now in the KV86 powerhouse as he lets the rear tyre hit the wall at turn 7 and now into the castle section. And again, keeping it, there's only really one line through there because otherwise you're in the wall.
It seems like the cars are set up for the race probably because...
And that's Luke Mitchell on pole, sorry, Stephen. So that's just beaten Scott Mitchell Malm's time there by 0.062 seconds to 58.704. And Mitchell Malm ever so slightly slower. Is he going to be able to snatch it back here at what may be his last attempt, unless he's got fuel for another run? Here we go then. Towards the line comes the King's racing car. And what can Scott Mitchell Malm do? It is a little bit slower. as we see Panasenko get himself up into the top 6 as well. So this will be Scott Mitchell-Malm's last attempt, I believe, as we've got 15 seconds left in the session. So if you're going to set a time, now's the moment to do so.
Yeah, it looks like some of these guys have the car set up for the race. When you do set up those cars for the race and you put out the fuel for qualifying, they become very oversteering. That's what we see here now as Mitchell goes through turn 4, but the car looks more planted than some others.
Indeed, and look at the brake disc glow as he gets his braking into a turn 4 there, now into 5 and 6. And once again, getting very, very close to the apex and tapped the wall there as well. So that's going to cost him a tenth or two at the very, very least. And it doesn't seem like the car's crapping though, so no damage done. Into turn 7 we go, and the rear sliding out. Mitchell-Malm really putting it all on the line here. Through the castle section we go, and it bit a little bit on him there. You saw he got a little bit of oversteer in the middle of the corner there, which is not ideal. First split, he's at 0.047 down on his best time. So he is at least a tenth down on his brother Luke Mitchell then. Championship leader. Can Scott Mitchell-Malm spoil the party and get onto pole position then? Looking very calm. He didn't take anywhere near as much curb as we saw Jack Nicholls doing earlier in the other King's car. With only one proper braking zone left. Now he turns very, very early, hugs the curb, and on the outside curb again. And now it's just a run to the line there as we see Craig Patterson lining up into 14th position with his best time there. But towards, and look at that purple middle sector then for Scott Mitchell-Malm. So this is it then, do or die. It's going to be very, very close then. But only a few seconds to go. We're going to find out which of the two Mitchells it's going to be on pole, and it is going to be Luke Mitchell as a Panasenko gets up to 4th with his final lap there. So great effort by Seva Panasenko, but it is Luke Mitchell, championship leader, who will start from pole position then, Stephen.
Yep, very nice lap. I think he did it on the 3rd lap on his tire because he escaped after turn 1, so he used every last bit of fuel in the car and seemed to get the tires working very well after 3 laps, so that's quite inspiring for the race if the tires have such a good longevity.
Yeah, top 7 within half a second, by the way. As we see, this looks like Van der Smissen making his way back to the pits then. And I believe he was the last man to set a lap, and he's certainly going quite slowly at the moment. So anyway, here we go. This is the grid for the first race of FS2 here. Baku, it's Luke Mitchell front row then, with Luke Mitchell leading Scott Mitchell-Malm. Maxime Bouliot will start 3rd for Optimal Esports, just in front of Seva Panasenko for VMS Sun Edits. Patrick Magnussen will start 5th for KV8 Powerhouse. Roy Seifert will start 6th for Red Ven Racing. Noah Tuamela will start 7th in the other Powerhouse car. Then it is Alessandro Maggio, the Academy winner, starting in 8th, just ahead of Jack Nicholls. Dan Hadjic rounds out the top 10 for Reading Game, but behind Hadjic in 11th position, it is Mikhail Tuamala. Then Justin Van der Smissen 11th. 12th, sorry. Van der Smissen 12th. Massimiliano Riboli 13th. Dan Hutt 14th. Craig Patterson 15th. Magnus Ockenhaug 16th. Lucas Feilin 17th. Matthias Pizikan 18th. Tommy Kuvanen 19th. Bobby Vakinov rounding out the top 20 from Louis Hartley, Jörn Dix, Johannes Leppit, Bradley Sellers, Luca Gray, Scott Morris, Mihailo Vincentovic, Brandon Robert, Luca Tisano, Victor Cabello, and 31st position will be Dominic Slabon.
Yeah, one interesting fact, Massimiliano Riboli for Alpha Sierra only in P13 when his teammate is on pole position, and 1 second between them. That's very, very unusual.
Yeah, he must have had a difficult session there for certain, Stephen, and I suppose we'll have to see how much progress he can make in the race. He may be one of the drivers that's set up for the race as well, but with the likes of Red Ven, Scuderia Capclay and Kings Racing not far behind them in the Teams Championship, it could be a big opportunity for them to capitalize.
Yeah, but I guess maybe not having the best of days can still give you some luck or some good opportunities for race 2 with P13. if he can improve into the top 10, he can have a great grid position for race 2 and still save his day.
Yeah, it is the top 15 that gets reversed for race 2, isn't it?
It's a random number between 10 and 15.
Ah, okay, you do it differently to Academy then. There we go. I'm learning new rules all the time, ladies and gentlemen. But anyway, that was an incredibly close qualifying session, and it is going to be interesting to watch Scott Mitchell-Malm and Luke Mitchell race each other. I've commentated on races where they finished on the podium together, but I've never seen them lock out the front row together before. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they get on. Driving for separate teams, of course. There won't be any kind of skullduggery going on between the two, I imagine. That's a lovely word, skullduggery, but I'm sure they're going to race very clean, very fair, and very hard. Although I'm sure if you are the man lining up in third, Maxime Bouliot, you'll be hoping the two of them take each other out so that he can win. And they'll have a good slipstream on the both of them into certainly over the first lap or so.
Yeah, I don't want to be on the dinner table if they collide. Let's hope that it won't come that far.
Oh, I'm sure they make enough money to live in separate houses, so it won't be an issue, whatever happens.
Yeah. The next family meeting is going to be interesting then.
Oh, yes. Well, we shall see. We shall see the level of interest that will generate. But yeah, some other big names doing well. I think Maggio lining up in the top 8 on what I believe is one of his first races in FS2. I think he might have done 1 or 2 before.
He's running in the academy car, so very nice. Doesn't seem to have a primary drive yet, so if any team is interested, he's done a great qualifying performance. If you can get that converted into some nice races, he might have a good chance to drive maybe full time in the next couple of races.
Yeah, he's certainly very good in Academy at getting on pole position and leading from the front. We've seen him win race 1 at the likes of Imola, Australia, and there was somewhere else as well. I'm forgetting. There's certainly another circuit that he's an incredibly quick driver there, Alessandro Maggio, and I think often in the race 2 chaos he's been a little bit unlucky in Academy. So let's hope that starting in 8th he can certainly put on a show. Of course, just ahead of Jack Nichols, so he's going to have his hands full, I think, in the early phase of this race. And as you say, I'm trying to think of other interesting stories. It was a difficult qualifying for the likes of Lucas Filin, Bobby Vakenova, who we've seen sort of struggle a little bit near the rear of the field in FS2 so far this season, and of course Louis Hartley as well, who we've seen have his moments. So I think all 3 of those will be hoping to make progress, and they're certainly capable of it from what I've seen in other series and here as well. As we wait for warm-up to elapse, I think it's going to be about 5 minutes, isn't it? Yeah, 6 minutes, there we go.
Lucas Thailand has been very strong around Imola. Gave us as a team quite a big headache, but unfortunately for him, he's not been able to stay on that level. But it's a long season.
And look at this. This Roy Seifert practicing his slipstreaming with Beaulieu for the race as well. As the two run.
Looking at the limiter. But
yes, of course.
Beaulieu seems to have quite a low wing, if you look at that.
Oh, yeah, he's able to get a much better top speed then into turn 1. But it's all very well trimming out the wing. You've still got to brake and make the corner, haven't you, into turn 1? Otherwise you're going straight off into the runoff. As we see just how twitchy Beaulieu is on the exit from turn 2 there.
And it seems like he's going back into the pits. The race here only has 13 laps, and we saw some guys doing personal bests on the third flying lap, so the tires doesn't seem to be quite a problem around here, so I expect them to push quite a bit in the opening stages. And yeah, that long back straight is going to be very interesting. I don't know how strong the slipstream and DRS effect will be there when you're in a train with like 7 cars. But
probably, it's not. You're gonna notice it, I think. It'd be hard not to.
I think you don't want to be the first one in that train.
Certainly, but we'll have to see if Luke Mitchell or Scott Mitchell-Malm indeed can break away and build a big enough gap at the end of the first lap to avoid being slipstream, because you can be slipstream from quite a long way back as well in some of these cars. I'm not sure if that's the case in the GPVWC Formula car, but it certainly was in the likes of the Academy. We've seen it in a couple of races.
It's quite okay with this car. One person I expect to move up a bit at the start is Patrick Magnussen, who qualified in 5th. He had 2 very nice starts in Melbourne, so we might have to look for him, maybe even going up into top 3 before the first corner. He seems to have found some sort of trick to launch these cars way better than others. And as we can see, Slabon really struggling under braking. That's something he should avoid in the race.
Oh yes. Car not looking too in one piece there at the end of that corner in turn 15, and that is the one that we saw them all struggling with. Just having a brief look at the chat to see what people are saying. Apparently it is Alex's birthday. I'm not sure which Alex they're referring to there.
No, that's an insider. They say happy birthday every day.
Oh, okay. And Louis Hartley says, hey, don't forget the N in optiminal. And not optimal. Yeah. Yes. I apologize to all members of Optiminal Esports. It just doesn't come naturally to me. I'm used to just looking at Academy cars with no team affiliation on them. Well, there is one team that's like that, so that'll be easy to tell.
I have an advantage in that because I do the championship standings for Instagram for our team. So I have to write every single driver's name and team's name. So I've seen them all, but when it comes to some Italian names, I'm also, asking myself how to pronounce that.
Well, anyway, I'm sure for the people who have these names, they've gotten very used to them because they've had them their whole life. So
yeah, it's the same for German names as well. As you saw with Jörn Dix, for example, the Ö. Most people don't even know how to pronounce that.
Where did Jörn Dix come out in the end in qualifying? I think it was near the back, wasn't it?
Yeah, he qualified in 22nd. Qualifying hasn't been a strong point for him this year, but the races here around Baku are always very exciting, so he's got a lot of chances to move up the field.
Especially if things get quite chaotic ahead. And we did see a bit of that in Melbourne, especially in race 2, where I believe first or second lap there was a massive pile-up from like 4th downwards or something like that. I'm pretty sure, as we see everyone just getting to the end of the warm-up here. So just 1.5 minutes left to go. Oh, that'd be 1 minute then, 90 seconds until the grid will start forming up. And any final things to keep an eye on then? Weather looks fine. Track temperature 42 degrees, 17 degrees ambient temperature. And like you say, tyre life not going to be a big factor here. It's all about staying in the slipstream and not making mistakes. I think that's what's going to dominate this race.
Yeah, the first 9 corners are all 90-degree corners, but with the wing levels you have for that street circuit, braking is going to be very tricky, as this car in general is quite tricky under braking. And when you have like 3 cars very close to you, the slightest of touches, the slightest of mistakes could be quite catastrophic.
I'm trying to... You throw me a little bit there, because I'm wondering if catastrophical is a word. Catastrophic is definitely a word, but not catastrophical. Feels like a extra. It feels like a needlessly elongated version of the same word. But it's cool. I have to look up a dictionary.
It's not my first language. I have an excuse.
No, you do have a very good excuse. My German is appalling. So, and people are saying a lot of jokes in the chat about my inability to pronounce team names. Somebody's saying Alpha Sierra is actually called TCS off. Ed.
That's Alex LeHou. He's just trolling a little bit, I guess.
Okay, I guess because he's not driving, he's going to find something to do. Tony McOffoven says, Brad, go faster, please. So I'm not sure who Brad is. Bradley Sellers, of course. And Husa Dunsix says, Dan Hedjack, let's go, champ. So Hedjack in the top 10 certainly looking to get a good result for reading game. Wasn't he in the top 10 last time? Wasn't he 9th in race 2 at Melbourne as well? Or was that one of the other reading game drivers? Anyway, it was someone. It might have been Hedrick. I'm pretty sure it was. And that was his first appearance for reading game.
It was Dan Hedrick, P9 in Australia race 2.
Looks like a fellow countryman because he says, "Show them true Czech speed." So I guess they're both from the Czech Republic by that account. Let me just look. Where is actually Dan Hedrick from? As we wait for the grid to form up, he is from the Czech Republic. Yes, so I'm not going absolutely insane here and forgetting people's nationalities. But there we go. Free practice ends, and race 1 is about to get going in about a minute or two's time. Hopefully, as we see the final few stragglers in practice cross the line.
Yeah, and quite a good showing as well from Scott Mitchell-Marm, topping out the session in front of Matthias Pistrgan.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, there was a purple first sector for Matthias, so maybe some slipstream and DRS.
Maybe Pistrgan is saving something for the race, or who knows. Because I think he qualified outside the top 10 somewhere, so he's a little bit behind his teammate Dan Hedrick, so he'll be hoping to make some progress and to catch up to his teammate. And Honza Desic says, "That's right, Czech bros are always supporting each other as always." And Alex Dahu says, "I hope Jeffrey Fournier delivers in FS2 tonight." Well, I don't see him anywhere, so that will be rather difficult, Alex.
Yeah, having a Super League caliber in FS2. It's always quite nice to see a comparison, how these young and mostly unexperienced drivers compared to a Super League driver.
It is. It's always great to get that comparison. Anyway, so 13 laps ahead of us then in race 1, before we will, of course, get our random pole sitter for race 2, and another 13 lap encounter. Almost exactly 6 kilometers per lap here, so that shows you just how long the straights are here at the Baku City Circuit in Azerbaijan. So the 4th round of FS2 in 2023 is about to get underway then, Stephen, and this is the very, very exciting part, because of course we got to see which of the two Mitchells is going to get off the grid fastest, but of course we've got the warm-up lap to go, where we'll remind everyone of the grid order. But that is really going to be the main excitement going into turn 1. Who gets it right off the line, and who maybe is a bit more cautious and decides to play the slipstream game.
Yeah, we could see it in 2019 with the Mercedes in Formula 1 going side by side through the first 2 corners. And these cars here are quite a bit smaller, so it should be a little bit easier to go side by side through there. So maybe we can see a tag battle.
Is that Valtteri Bottas and Lewis Hamilton weren't brothers, so whereas these two are.
Yes. They were teammates, I think. Yeah, driving for Mercedes, crashing into each other would have been the worst thing.
Right, shall I take us through the grid then? Luke Mitchell then starts on pole position for Alpha Sierra ahead of Scott Mitchell-Marm for Kings Racing. Maxime Bouliot is 3rd from Seba Panasenko in 4th. Not talked too much about Panasenko. He had a very good qualifying ahead of Patrick Magnussen. Roy Seifert 6th. Alessandro Maggio starts 7th ahead of Jack Nichols in 8th. Then is Dan Hedrick 9th. Mikhail Tuamala 10th. Justin van der Smissen 11th. Then Massimiliano Riboli in 12th. Dan Hutt 13th for Hutt Performance ahead of Craig Patterson in 14th. Magnus Ockenhaug 15th ahead of Lucas Feiling in 16th. Then in 17th it's Noah Tuomela ahead of Matthias Pizzickan in 18th. Tommy Koivunen is 19th ahead of Bobby Vakinov in 20th. Then in 21st it's Louis Hartley for Deltec Racing. Jörn Dix in 22nd ahead of Johannes Lepit. Bradley Slurs 24th in the Academy car. Then in 25th it's Luca Gray ahead of Scott Morris. Then in 27th it's Braden Robert ahead of Luca Tisano. In 29th it's Victor Cabello ahead of Dominic Slabon. 31st is David Yunt ahead of Mihailo Vicentovic. I struggle with that last name of Mihailo.
Vicentovic, I think. That's how I got to know it.
It's Vicentovic, and I believe he's our last runner on the grid then in 32nd then. So we did get a last-minute driver getting in there. I believe David Junt. It's Junt. So Junt might actually be starting from the pit lane then. I think Vincent might actually have a penalty from the previous event. Yes, he does. Baku grid demotion. So that would explain why the grid order is the way it is. But anyway, the Mitchell brothers making their way then down this long straight. And then they've just got to get themselves set up for that first corner. Luke Mitchell will be waiting the longest. But once Vicentovic, or is it Slabon, I think is going to be last to line up. Unless Vicentovic is taking the start.
He is taking the start. Only David Junt yet in the pit lane. And yeah, he seems to have quite a big gap ahead of him. Doesn't want to wait for long.
No, we want to keep those tyres as warm as possible. And we see him weaving now as he just starts to slow down, as you can see the next couple of cars just in his sight. And you're going to get used to this sight because you're going to see cars slipstreaming each other throughout this race down the main straight, and indeed potentially on the run out from turn 2 into turn 3 as well. And we see the vacant spot there on the grid there. Where David Junt would have been if he wasn't starting from the pit lane. But anyway, the lights coming on now. 5 lights about to extinguish. And we go green in Baku. And it's a great start for Scott Mitchell-Malm in the King's car on the right. He takes the lead from Luke Mitchell. Oh! And that looks like Panasenko getting through on Magnussen as well into the top 3. Bulio is a shuffled down to 4th position then. But the Mitchell brothers change position as it's all chaos into turn 2 as everyone's going side by side with one another, Stephen.
Yep, very close, very clean so far from what I've seen. But Luke Mitchell has lost that position. And it's going 3 wide, or almost 3 wide, around P6.
Oh, and that's Jack Nichols involved in a battle then. Maggio gets really wide and hits the side. Oh, it's one of the red van cars in the wall.
No, that's not the red van car. That's... Okay. Oh, there's been a priority 1. KB86, and we have a pile up here.
Oh,
as most of them seem to go unscathed.
Tuamala.
Tuamala.
Yeah, he was hitting the wall there. Sorry, I misidentified the car there. It was Scuderia Cap Clay, not Red Vent. As your Mitchell-Malm still pushing it ahead to build the gap to Luke Mitchell behind, who is definitely going to be a big threat for him through the rest of this race. But the other big winner was Seba Panasenko to get ahead of Maxime Bulio into turn 1 there. Got Roy Seifert for Red Vent, still holding on to 5th from Jack Nichols. But yeah, as we saw, it was Tuamala who got sort of squeezed there. I think that must have been Maggio that got a little bit wide and then hit him. And there's Riboli up into the top 10 already, so he's made a good amount of 3 places then on this first lap.
Yep, he's now on the perfect position for race 2, but he still wants to improve for race 1.
Indeed, there's more points on offer here as we cut back to Scott Morris down in 19th, and that looks like Ockenhaug ahead of him, who I might be shaping up a move. That's not Ockenhaug, sorry. I was one of the Academy cars.
Tuamala is going slow there, but he should go into the pits.
Yeah, looks like he should be just out of the way there. That's Bradley Sellers, of course. I completely misidentified in the Academy car. And Sellers out to make a move on Luca Gray then into turn 1. Is Gray going to be able to defend this one? Yes, he is. And coming through that must be Morris on Sellers. And Sellers, who did start down in about 25th, now fighting for 18th. It looks like someone went really wide in the background there, Stephen.
Yep.
Let's see who that was.
Very chaotic on that first lap, but it's Baku, so I guess it's some sort of...
Indeed, well done, Baku.
We can see here the fight for P3. Seba Panasenko doing a very, very nice job so far. Punching way above expectations, at least for me.
Look how wide Panasenko gets there as well. So the VMS car, we're not used to seeing them running in the top 3, of course, but they are a very experienced Dutch team we've seen in other series. They've really been able to punch well above their weight, and looks like Panasenko continuing the trend then, and Bulio in the Optimnal car getting a little bit held up here and backed into Roy Seifert and Jack Nichols behind him. So Nichols has got a lovely quadruple slipstream here down these straights then, which you'll be hoping to take advantage of. Luke Mitchell, by the way, 8/10 now behind his brother Scott Mitchell-Malm in the battle for the lead ahead of these guys.
Yeah. Very close between the Mitchells. now it's very important for Luke to stay within that DRS, which should be enabled next lap. And so far...
Oh, and that was Jack Nicholls just getting sideways. It was getting very close to the back of Roy Seifert, and probably didn't get the greatest exit, but will still recover a little bit with the slipstream. He has got a second or so gap to Maggio, and let's see how much he gains down the straight here. In 6th gear, building up to 280 miles per hour then. Let's see where they all top out. And Seifert now pulls out in the battle for 4th position with Bulio. Bulio can't really do anything to defend here. He's going to try and hold around the outside. Here we go. He's going to get pushed into the wall. And indeed, he makes big contact with the wall. And here comes Maggio then, as Nicholls swerving now. And it's caught right up to the back of Seifert because of that. But Bulio will be a little bit annoyed there. He will feel he wasn't given space, as that's Dan Hajek in a battle with Magnussen for 8th position.
Yeah, Magnussen didn't have the best of starts. Wants to get some places back, but right now it's not getting his way, as Riboli is also showing himself in the mirror.
And is that Maggio? That's
Yep,
Maggio stationary there. So Maggio's made contact with Bulio, I think, into the entry of turn 3, and it's really cost him there. Down to 11th place he goes.
Yeah.
Yellow in sector 2. As we see Nicholls trying to have a look up the inside of Seifert into turn 7, which is not usually a place you see overtaking moves done. But Seifert just holds on for now and is hoping just to pull away before they get to the straight. But the result of all this is that Panasenko has started to draw clear of the both of them. And Lucy Bulio, having recovered from being hit in the wall, has started to catch back up a bit as well.
Yeah, also at the front, Scott Mitchell was very, very close from getting outside that DRS. Did a 59.7, by far the fastest lap last lap.
Yes, but Mitchell has set another purple first sector as well. He's still trying to keep him on it, but he was 2 tenths slower in sector 2 now, as we continue to watch the battle between Jack Nicholls and Roy Seifert for 4th position. And of course, Stephen, you'll be hoping that Seifert can keep him at bay, hold on to that top 4, as we see the crossover here, the guys approaching turn 7 and the other guys just completing the final sector then. And Nicholls once again gets a lovely slipstream, not as powerful as before, not many cars to draw that air from, punching a hole in the air in front of him. 10 laps to go then. And will Nicholls think about a risky dive? No, he thinks better of it and lets Seifert go very, very wide on exit there. But here is Hajek fighting once again with Magnussen, who completely loses it on exit. I wonder if they made contact there, Stephen.
It didn't seem like some contact. Patrick being a little trigger happy on the throttle pedal was very excited.
Riboli got through there as well. So Riboli into the top 8 and Hajek making great progress as well into the top 7 for Reading Game, which will be, I think, one of their best finishes of the season. So great to see such a big battle going on here. And Magnussen, having done all that work to get back up into the top 7, has now got to do it all over again, hasn't he?
Yep. The race is not going the way he wanted to. Got off to a very good start again, but since then he's made some slight mistakes, didn't have the best of luck. I expect him to be able to fight back a little bit, as Nicholls is very close to Seifert.
He is, and Mitchell, there we go, Nicholls, the outside, and Seifert hits the wall at the castle section and somehow holds onto his front wing there. But Nicholls gets very, very impeded indeed, and he's just losing time all the time then to Panasenko. Nicholls, he wants to get on the podium with his teammate, and Seifert making that crucial mistake there that has really hurt his momentum.
Yeah, I expect that car to be a little bit damaged there, so maybe not the best of top speeds for the remaining laps, as we have a yellow in sector 2.
I wonder if someone else is it. It looks like a Lepit dropping down a little bit briefly there. But here we go. Is Nicholls finally going to get the slipstream that he needs then? As we go through 17, 18, 19 and 20 then.
Yeah, we can see at the last lap a top speed of 288, which is very, very fast for these cars.
Yeah, and Seifert, I think, very, very lucky to get away with that one, frankly. But will he be lucky into turn 1? Here we go. Nicholls already pulling out to the left in the King's car. And the red van of Seifert will have to concede position. And Nicholls makes it into the corner. Plenty of space on the inside. Lets him through into 4th position, at least for the time being then. So this is turning into a very, very good race for Kings, isn't it? Although Luke Mitchell continues to close on Scott Mitchell-Mann for the lead, as Nicholls actually gets a little bit wide on his exit of turn 2 there, and is now starting to
he's-
defend the inside.
I think he was just defending. Yeah, Luke Mitchell was very, very close behind him before Scott, behind Scott before turn 1. So I think he's gonna have a chance at least once this race. As we can see.
Riboli has been overcome by Magnussen in this big battle here, because we've got Hadjic, Magnussen, Riboli, Maggio, Van der Smissen, and I think Ockenhaug isn't too far behind either. So all of them are slipstreaming each other down the straight, and it's causing quite a kerfuffle over this 7th position, which Hadjic is doing well to hold on to at the moment. But I think Magnussen fancies taking it back.
Yeah, judging by the qualifying result and practice times, I think Magnussen is the fastest out of the train here. So I guess he wants to be the leader and maybe get this train more towards Boulier and P6.
I thought I saw a little mistake for Luca Gray falling behind Dix there a little bit further back. But anyway, this battle continues to rage on. Through turn 15 they go. Oh, and always a little bit of a heart-in-mouth moment when you see him mounting that curb there. But now through into 16. And it looks like Magnussen is setting himself up. He's got a bit of a gap to Riboli, so he should be able to make the move without having to worry about the Alpha Sierra car going the other side of him. Meanwhile, the gap up front, 4 tenths then between Mitchell Malm and Luke Mitchell. But here comes Magnussen. Can Hadjic do anything? He's just going to keep to the outside and onto the racing line then. But Magnussen in the Powerhouse 86 takes the inside and forces the reading game almost to go the long way around there. He had just enough overlap to complete that move. And Van der Smissen also just behind, getting in front of Ockenhaug. So there we go. Magnussen has done all the work again, hasn't he, to get back into the top 7, and now he's going to try and chase Boulier. And I wonder if Boulier is nursing damage from earlier, because his pace has dropped off a bit from Cypher ahead of him.
Yeah, it looks like Magnussen may have a little bit more wing on his car, as it was not as easy to overtake Hadjic for P7. I know Magnussen from a few races, and he tends to run a bit more downforce, which should help him in the middle sector here, as we have
This is Louis Hartley going round the outside of Leppit then for 20th position then. So fair play for the Deltec driver, Louis Hartley, just making a very, very unconventional pass there, but he had the overlap to do it. And that's going to be good progress for him, but not enough to really get himself into the race to reverse grid sort of contention, sadly, unless something crazy happens in the next 5 laps or so. But we are most of the way through the race, and the battle up front, it's really the 2 Mitchells pacing themselves, isn't it, as Panasenko has tried to make a break for it. But Seifert still fairly close to the back of Nichols, could counterattack. That big hit in the castle section really sapped his momentum a little bit, and him and Boulier, I think, are kind of wounded warriors, as it were, at the present moment, Stephen.
Yeah, and Magnussen already broke out of DRS from Riboli now, so he's going to be on a charge. Maybe to get even to P4 if the guys ahead are struggling now. Scott Mitchell sets the fastest lap now, so they are pushing. But I'm very impressed by Seba Panasenko staying that close, as we now have the
Maggio using the DRS to get through Riboli. So Maggio, after his early mistake, recovering ground. And who's that just behind? That's Hadjic, of course. So he's been able to get past. That's a double move, I think, that Maggio's made in the whole recent history. But he gets very out of shape on the exit of turn 2 and somehow collects himself without completely binning it in the wall. But Hadjic now fighting Riboli. He's going to try and do round the outside, just like we saw Louis Hartley do a few moments ago. Is Riboli going to give him space? Oh, no, Hadjic just has to back out of that one into turn 3. So there we go. Some fierce battling here for the lower end of the top 10. It looks like Van der Smissen now is caught up as well, and he's dragging Ockenhaug with him.
Yeah, and I kind of have the feeling that Nichols doesn't have the pace in clean air, so maybe this whole train could close the gap to P4, as the times are pretty similar all around.
Oh, and Van der Smissen just rubs the sidewalls against the wall at turn 7, as once again a sharp intake of breath. It's a brown trousers moment, as they say, through the castle section. You just have to tighten everything up to make sure you don't hit anything. But yeah, it's a good thing that Mitchell Mom set fastest lap because Luke Mitchell had closed on him at that moment, and now the gap just starting to stretch out to 5-6 tenths again. Riboli just completely mounts the yellow curb there. Here are the two leaders, by the way. Luke Mitchell, surely you got to think, is going to save his best attempt for the final lap. He's maybe just keeping his brother on the end of a very, very thin string, isn't he? Because whenever he keeps trying to pull away, he drags himself back in. Here we go. Towards turn 1 we come. And is Luke Mitchell going to dive up the inside for the lead? He is. Here we go. Are they going to leave each other enough space? Mitchell Mom, just threads the needle between the wall. But Luke Mitchell, who's just set the fastest lap, now has the inside into turn 2 and takes the lead from Scott Mitchell Mom. But Mitchell Mom, he'll be counter-attacking using the first DRS zone here. He's going to try it round the outside into turn 3, Stephen.
Yeah, should have the overspeed. The DRS is strong enough.
Luke Mitchell's got the inside. But there we go. Brilliant defensive work from Luke Mitchell to keep the King's car of Mitchell Mom at bay. And Panasenko is not too far behind this either, 1.6 seconds. So could he just be getting that slipstream? And that might be pulling him back in to this lead fight as well. We are on lap 8 of 13 then, so just a few short laps to go then. That will be about 4 laps after this one. Here we go. This is Vizgazan in the second reading game, fighting with Dix for 14th position. And looks like Dix is struggling a little bit at the moment because Vizgazan is all over the back of him.
Yeah, no, going for the switchback, but the traction is not going into that.
He's going to try on the outside of turn 7. That's going to, I was going to say that's brave. Let's see if that
has done a mistake. Panasenko is right behind them. I think they had another battle, as Luke Mitchell is not far ahead as well, so there must have been a big fight between them.
Another mistake from Mitchell Mom.
Yeah,
he did well. Hold on, Kudo had a massive tank slapper, just got really early on the power or over the curb out of 15. And now Panasenko will surely slot himself into the DRS zone and breeze through here if Mitchell Mom isn't careful. So what was turning into a very, very good haul of points for Kings is now looking a little bit more shaky here. They might be completely out of the top 2 by the end of this lap.
Yeah, Panasenko should get by quite easily with the DRS now, should even be able to slot in. Yes, he is. Now he needs the top speed to maybe go into the DRS of Luke.
Yeah, there we go. And crucially, Mitchell Mom couldn't counterattack there into turn 1. So there we go. 5 laps remaining. They're not 4, as I said earlier. And now we have the interesting sight of a VMS side-its car as he just gets a little bit out of shape through turn 2 and now has to defend once more from the King's car as Seifert started to catch Nichols again. He's win about 6 tenths then. And now here comes Mitchell Mom, but again, sort of just trying to weave around in the wing mirrors of Panasenko, and Luke Mitchell now starting to run away with this one unless Panasenko can do something about it. His pace has been pretty strong, it must be said. If you look at his last lap, 2 minutes, 0.4. As we saw, as Luke Mitchell set at 2:02.
Yeah, I think last lap the two Mitchell brothers had another battle going into the fast section around there because they have lost a lot of time. And Luke Mitchell is now pulling his muscles. Going purple in the first sector by quite a bit.
Usually when you pull a muscle in sports, that's not a good thing. But I think he's flexing the muscles, certainly.
That's
pulling them is when you pull them too much.
Yeah,
and they sort of snap
that's
on
what
you.
I wanted to say.
But anyway, we look at Louis Hartley, who made that around the outside into turn 2 pass earlier. He's fallen back down to 23rd and is now fighting with Craig Patterson in the P1 car. Patterson, who we saw finish P4 in race 2 in Melbourne. As Magnussen and Hadjic are battling away for 7th again. As it looks like Julio is starting to make a little bit of a break for it. But
Justin Van der Smissen has just improved to P9, I think, past Rivoli. Very strong race so far from Justin.
Oh, another mistake there for Hartley out of the castle section. He went really, really wide. So I think he might have hit something, and that's Rivoli. Yeah, Riboli missing his front wing there, so he will surely have to come in, and that's devastating for him. He was looking good for a P9 and right into the wall there. So that really shows the understeer without that front downforce, and everybody does well to avoid him, to be honest. The Alpha Sierra car, and they'll be needing to put a new front wing on that for the last 3 or 4 laps of the race then, and that's crucial points being thrown away here, I think, for Massimiliano Riboli. So Luke Mitchell on course to win, but his teammate not having as good a time out there.
Yeah, but I'm very surprised to see Scott Mitchell dropping off like that. As in qualifying, it seemed like he had the pace even on the third lap on the tires. Maybe for the race, the tires do seem to go off a little bit.
Yeah, he's kept with Panasenko though, so his top speed isn't too bad. It really is just trying to let's look at the exit of some of these corners. I wonder if there was some sort of contact at the castle section that we missed. Maybe the steering looks fine though, so it's hard to say, but you can see that rear wing with Panasenko's name all over it, and he really wants to get back into that second position. Then he led so much of this race, and cruelly Mitchell Malm looks like he's gonna might even be denied second as well. But
yeah, but still, so far it's a very good result from Kings being on third and fourth.
That is very true. I think they'll happily bank the points, but Mitchell Malm, you know, he's a racer. He certainly wants to get any position that's on offer. As we see a yellow in sector 1 as a slap on in trouble, I think, and that's why facing the wrong way around the circuit. He spun it. That looks like turn 3 or 4, I think. Hard to tell. Not used to seeing it from this angle next to the tractor.
It should be turn 6.
Yeah, I think you're right.
6,
yeah, there we go, because you can see the other side of the crossover then. So this is straight just between 6 and 7. So he spun on the exit of turn 6 then. But here we go. This is Mitchell Malm trying to go up the inside of Panasenko into turn 1 with the DRS. And Panasenko, he's going to stick it around the outside here. But Luke Mitchell brakes later, turns it, just gets on the power in time. And there we go, the Kings car back into the top 2 then, with 3 laps remaining.
Yeah, look at the exit. Scott Mitchell should be far enough ahead, as this straight is by far not as long as the other. But now Seva is back in the slipstream and DRS for the end of the lap, so now Scott really needs to get ahead and get far ahead.
It's no good driving defensively, because you're just going to get slipstream down the final straight on the final lap, aren't you? So as we've seen happen so many times here in Baku. But Panasenko, the Israeli driver, has put on a fantastic show and certainly given Mitchell Malm a run for his money here. As we see Maggio making a move on, was that? Oh no, that was
Ockenhaug pulling a move of Maggio. We saw in chat some guys were thinking that maybe Maggio and Riboli had that incident, as Maggio seemed to have lost quite a few positions.
So Maggio, they're saying it was a collision between Maggio and Riboli that ripped Riboli's front wing off. Well, without seeing a replay, I don't want to speculate, but certainly Maggio did have a difficult start to the race with that spin at turn 2, didn't he? That way he hit, who was it that he hit? It was certainly it was Tuamala, wasn't it, I think?
Yeah.
Was it Tuamela or Tuamala? I always get the two mixed up. But anyway, Panasenko still just about in the slipstream, but it's going to be difficult for him to get through on this lap, I think. So he might be saving his tyres for a final assault as we see the crossover once more. But nearly 4 seconds then, the gap between the two Mitchell brothers now. So Luke Mitchell looks to tighten his grip on another race 1 victory here, which would be his 4th win of the season. But can Panasenko go around the outside of Scott Mitchell Malm? Not on this occasion, unless Mitchell Malm gets a very poor exit here, as Seifert now has caught finally up to the back of Jack Nichols and wants to get some revenge and retake that 4th position. But Jack Nichols, why the old fox, him and Royce Seifert have raced together multiple times in the past, so these two, they know each other's moves. But Seifert with the DRS is going to try and go around the outside into turn 2. Can the 71 pull this one off, Stephen?
It doesn't seem like it. It didn't seem like he wanted to do it, as he wasn't even going into the slipstream of Jack Nichols. I think he's just playing the long game. As we can see now, Sellers at the back of Ewan Dix.
Yeah, I think Ewan Dix has just got past Bradley Sellers as well. So Sellers has had a bit of a battling race. Him and Dix have sort of been locked together in close combat throughout the entire duration, pretty much. A nice little slipstream battle back and forth. And David Yun in 16th looks like he wants to get involved as well as they approach the final tour. It's coming pretty soon. Luke Mitchell got the gap over 4 seconds now, so he's looking very, very comfortable indeed. As Bradley Sellers just gets himself and trying to get the best exit he can, rubs right against the wall as they approach turn 7 now.
Yeah, but looking at David Junt, he started from the pit lane.
Oh, and that sticks a bit out of shape into 7, but there's no way through here at the castle section unless he got the inside, which unfortunately Bradley Sellers does not. So Sellers has to pick his moment a little bit closer to the end of the lap then.
And, can say that close. It's looking very good for him. But
yeah,
now
indeed.
these two corners that are following are very, very difficult.
Oh, Dick starts defending into turn 15 then, which slightly compromises his exit. And you can see David Yen is getting the hurry up because he can sense a top 14 on offer here with these two squabbling away and holding each other up. But here we go. Bradley Sellers surely is going to get a very good run down the straight. Meanwhile, Panasenko still about a second behind Scott Mitchell-Malm. So I think really the other close battle is Nichols and Seifert. And look how wide Dix ran out there. And that's really compromised his exit through 18, 19 and 20 here. And Bradley Sellers is going to get through before they get to the start-finish line. He's got the DRS open. So surely around the outside, the Academy car is coming through then. Nothing that the Red Van driver can do. And indeed, Dix has to slot in back into 15th position.
And then on the exit.
Yeah, he to rub salt in the wound, he gets on the power way too soon and potentially allows David Yunt to attack him on this final lap then. But Scott Mitchell-Malm, to his credit, has got the gap down to below 4 seconds again. But I don't see him, unless he gets an almighty slipstream, I don't see him quite clawing back the gap now. The damage bot from Panasenko was done earlier, as we see Seifert just putting maximum pressure then on Jack Nichols with only half the lap to go. Clobbering over the curve is Seifert, giving it everything to try and take back a top 4 position, but surely Jack Nichols is not going to let it slip now unless Roy Seifert can get a well-timed slipstream with the DRS to get back through. But Luke Mitchell surely not far away from the finish line now, and it's going to be a 4th victory of the season for the championship leader. But Jack Nichols gets very out of shape and towards the wall on the exit of 15. But up ahead, this race about to end then.
Yeah, but I think we are going to see a photo finish quite soon.
So anyway, Luke Mitchell about to cross the line any second now to win, but we follow Seifert and Nichols in their battle for 4th position then. And is Seifert going to be able to get the run here? He will certainly get the DRS. Luke Mitchell takes victory here in Azerbaijan. And Mitchell-Malm was able to get through on Panasenko. Sorry we missed that. But here comes Seifert. Is he going to snatch 4th as they power towards the line? He is. He just got it there by 0.027 there, I think. So that's going to be deeply annoying for Jack Nichols. But for Kings, there must have been a mistake from Panasenko there, because I didn't quite see where Mitchell-Malm got through.
He was through quite a long time, so.
He was, yeah, so we missed that. We just must have missed that earlier in the lap then. But victory for Luke Mitchell then. And that means he extends his championship lead yet further. And certainly the two Mitchells are looking good in for race 2. But Panasenko certainly pushing them all the way. And Seifert with that last gasp overtake. It was great to see. So Jack Nichols will be more than a little bit annoyed, having held on to 4th for so long, to lose it right at the death, as we see the runners near the back just crossing the line and completing the race now. Koivunen has gone into the pits, I think. Is that after he's crossed the line? No, I think before.
David Junt has seemed to have got Jörn Dix on the line as well.
Oh, great.
Yeah, my personal driver of the driver of race 1, David Junt, pit lane to P15, very impressive.
Yeah, certainly he put on some great moves, and it's great to see a couple of them on stream as well. But I believe that's all our finishers have completed the race then, apart from I think they all have. So we could probably have a brief glimpse of the results of race 1 as Luke Mitchell makes his way back to the pit lane after a 4th victory of the season. There we go. So it's a Mitchell 1-2 as it was in qualifying, and in the same order as well. But certainly the two put on a fabulous show for us in Baku. Sever Panasenko rounds out the podium. First podium of the season, I believe, for VMS Sun Edits. So that is great news for them in FS2. Roy Seifert just snatches 4th on the line from Jack Nichols. So Kings, it's a double top 5, but could have been a double top 4 for them. Patrick Magnussen, after a difficult early phase of the race, climbs back up to 6th in the KV86 Powerhouse entry. Maxime Bulio started 3rd on the grid, finished 7th for Optimal Esports. Dan Hadjic takes the top 8, equals, I think, or gets very close to his best result for reading game. Magnus Ockenhaug is 9th, and rounding out the top 10 is the other VMS of Justin van der Smissen, who had a pretty solid race himself. So VMS getting great points out of this first encounter. Then in 11th place, it's Alessandro Maggio. We saw spinning, having a few issues, but did recover to 11th ahead of the second reading game of Matthias Biziken. Dan Hutt is 13th, ahead of Bradley Sellers. We saw fighting away with the likes of David Yent and Jörn Dix. Luca Gray is 17th, ahead of Johannes Leppit. Tommy Koivunen is 19th, I think, despite going into the pit lane at the end of the final lap, ahead of Craig Patterson for Priority 1 Esports. In 21st, it's Mikael Tuomala, ahead of Louis Hartley in 22nd. Massimiliano Riboli, after his late change for a front wing, finishes a lowly 23rd, ahead of Mihailo Vicentovic in 24th. Nuo Tomella, 25th. Bobby Vakinov, 26th. Scott Morris, 27th. Dominic Slamon, 28th. Brandon Robert, 29th. Victor Cabello, 30th. And then I believe not finishing the race is Luca Tisano and Lucas Filin. Didn't quite see what happened to poor Lucas Filin. I think there must have been an incident early on, Stephen, that I may have missed. Okay.
Yeah, I saw, I think possibly Lucas Tylem in chat saying it's a horrible track.
Well, that's a revealing comment then. It's certainly not Imola, is it, for poor Lucas? But hopefully we'll see him fare a little bit better in race 2. But there we go. So score 1 to Luke Mitchell then. But race 2, you would think won't be as easy a time because, of course, we've got the randomized grid. And would now be a good time to go to break, Stephen, in between the races, or shall we just keep chatting?
We should keep going.
Okay, right. Let's keep going then. So quite a lot of action then. It's hard to think of what to focus on. Certainly a lot of incidents a bit further down the pack, but top 5 was certainly very, very clean racing, I felt.
Yeah, apart from Roy Seifert putting Bully in the wall quite early on. Not something you like to see as a team boss.
Gotta say, full marks to Panasenko for not only getting a place at the start, but also challenging for that second position, really pushing Scott Mitchell-Malm all the way. And I'm sorry that I didn't realize that Mitchell-Malm had gotten through on Panasenko, because they were swapping positions quite a lot, and I didn't realize on that final lap. And I got very surprised.
For the final few laps, they were stable in second and third.
They were, yeah. I was being an idiot.
Yeah,
First time commentating on FS2.
It happens.
Yeah. Yeah, especially at Baku, it can get a bit mad at times, but race 2 will be even madder. I can guarantee you that. It's likely that it will be madder. But anyway, they're doing the draw at the moment, I believe, for the person. Is it the person in the top 10? One of the random.
It's random number between 10 and 15. So
okay.
If it's going to be 13, P13 will be on pole, and I have the channel open where the reverse grid number will be revealed. I'm still waiting for that. For the excitement, I hope it's going to be a high number.
Yeah, it certainly would be interesting to see.
It's 15. The highest possible number, David Junt, starting from the pit lane in the first race, is going to be on pole for race 2. That's going to be exciting. The highest number, that's what we want to see, some action.
But is Yavadian just going to be cutting a big hole in the air for everyone behind him, or is he going to be able to hold on to the podium position? That's going to be very exciting to see. But Yin put in, like you say, quite a show. He was your driver of the race in race 1. I think I might go for Panasenko as my driver of the race in race 1.
He should be a quick close second for me there. Very impressive, getting the podium. Kind of out of nowhere for me. He's been practicing, I guess, a lot with Alex Lehoux.
Yeah, and he's been doing academy as well, a couple of academy rounds where he's not done. He's been like sort of top 6, top 7 in a couple of rounds. But usually a little bit off the radar, Panasenko. So it's great to see him really showing what he can do in more powerful machinery with the DRS at his disposal. It was a very tactical drive, and like we say, got very close to that second position in there.
Yeah. And one good thing for Yunt, as the reverse grid number is that high, the race winners from race 1 have quite a lot of cars to overtake to get to him. So a great chance for P15, 14 and 13 from race 1 to maybe get a podium. It's gonna
Quite
be
possibly, yeah, but we are going to see, this is where it gets very, very interesting with lots and lots of slipstreaming, as we saw at the very beginning of race 1 as well. We had Jack Nicholls that was getting like a 4-car slipstream in front of him.
Yeah, I expect some of those guys to take the whole wing off just to get the top end speed to overtake.
Ah, they are to change setup in between the 2 races.
Yeah.
Ah, well, that's lucky for them then. Lucky for the Mitchell brothers and Panasenko. But anyway, wow, there's Lucas Filer. He'll be hoping he's got the wing trimmed out a little bit, but we saw him just understeering into the wall there, so, so certainly it. He's saying how much he dislikes this track, and it's very visible from the way he's driving in this warm-up. He's trying to get some heat into the tyres, I think. Oh, look at him putting in a great show. We saw Louis Hartley doing that as well, and Filan has spun on the exit of the castle section there. And now he's going to try and do the lap in reverse.
Yeah, and in chat I can see Johan Dix, one of my drivers, who lost the reverse grid pole by a few tenths, so he's gutted, of course.
Oh yeah, because of course with that final lap overtake.
Yeah, who wouldn't be gutted?
Oh, and we have a nice comment from Honza, who says, "Great commentators, I tip my hat to them. They're making this race full of exchanges and actions even more enjoyable and fun. Thank you guys." Well, it's very kind of you. And no, I believe me and Tuamala are not brothers. Well, I didn't accuse you of being so. There's the only 2 brothers are Mitchell Malm and Scott Mitchell.
Yeah, no. Yeah, good luck for race 2. Good luck to race 2 for all of the drivers who are looking into or who are watching the stream during the warm-up session between races.
And I think we shouldn't take all the glory. We should give a little shout out to Vincent Gutt, who's done a fantastic job on the cameras and helping run the stream for us. So thumbs up to Vincent as well.
Yep. Hashtag
anyway,
Danke Vincent.
So just 1 minute 40 to go then until race 2 will be lining up with David Yent on pole position. Not every day you say that. With all due respect to David, he's a very, very quick driver. But considering you start from the pit lane, it is, as you say, Stephen, pretty extraordinary to see him starting so high up. But that is the luck of the draw, and it can go your way, and sometimes it goes against you. Very often, for like 30 of the 31 drivers, it tends to go against them.
Yeah, I guess some guys are still yet to recover back onto the server, as we have 29 cars at the moment. But yeah, seeing 32 cars on the grid for race 1 is always very good. I like it when we have quite a lot of cars. I wish that real Formula 1 would have more cars, as 20 cars is just not enough for me personally.
Yeah, I can kind of understand, because I remember we had an era in, like, say, the 80s and 90s where you'd have to have teams pre-qualifying for the race. And there were some who would be leaving on the Friday because they didn't set a time good enough to get into the top 30 or however many. 26, I think, was the number of cars they usually would let into a race. And that was back when they had a lot of, like I said, a lot of pre-qualifying teams. And often you'd get these one-car entries that would often have to go home, basically, and rarely get to participate. But yeah, so often it would depend on certain tracks as well. Like you'd have Monaco, it would have like maybe only 21 or 22 entries compared to the usual. So yeah, I think often it depends on the track. Is my feeling. But yeah, I do feel real Formula One. It feels a little bit like we had the whole thing with Andretti recently, where people didn't want a new team in because the way the payments are given out, they would be given less of a slice of these sort of, constructors fund and stuff like that. So it's sort of, you can understand from a financial perspective, but from the show and from giving opportunities to drivers, Because we have a lot of great drivers that aren't in Formula One that have to race elsewhere, essentially.
Yeah,
Or
having
even
the Formula 2 champion not race in Formula 1 is
yeah, and we got the
quite a
likes of
shame for
Liam
me.
Lawson who are racing in Super Formula, doing a very good job by the way, winning races. But you got to feel someone like Liam Lawson, who's done 3 practice sessions, that acquitted himself very well, could easily do the job in Formula One as well. And that does mean that other championships, like the likes of World Endurance, Formula E, touring cars, they get some really, really good drivers that would otherwise be on the Formula One grid to sort of make it that. And we know Formula E loves to tout that they have one of the best quality of fields, essentially, that nobody there is paying for their drive, that they're all people there on merit who are being paid by big manufacturers. And you can sort of see why they make that claim, especially with the amount of talent that's available there. But anyway, free warm-up ending now as we look at Tiziano, hoping to do a little bit better to get a little bit further, I think, because he's another retirement from race 1, hoping to improve, as they all are indeed. Everyone is in a constant battle to improve themselves. You can guarantee even Luke Mitchell will look back at that race 1 and think about things that he could have done differently, like in the battle with his brother, I guess.
I guess the start, he lost the first place on the start, so maybe that's something he wants to improve for race 2.
Something for David Yunt to think about as well.
He didn't have a practice start so far.
No, he started in the pit lane, yeah. So, interesting use of a race start, you calling it a practice for the second race. It was kind of a legit start in of itself, so. There you go, Tiziano goes straight on there at the end as he gets teleported back to the pit lane, and now they will all be teleported back to the grid then. And we see all the perches in the colours of the Super League teams, I believe, in the foreground there. But anyway, race 2, another exciting 13 laps about to get going here at the Baku City Circuit in the middle of Azerbaijan, the land of fire, they call it. I'm certain, let's hope we don't see too many cars on fire, but certainly the drivers will be hoping to light a fire under the proverbial and heat up the streets of Baku, and certainly put on a great show for us in the process.
Oh yeah. I really hope that race 2 will be on fire, and the top 15 being reversed is a very good recipe for that.
Indeed, it's also a very good recipe for collisions and accidents, so it could get a little bit too spicy and fiery if we're not careful. So there we go then.
But that's where surprised results come from, and today might be a great chance for the likes of David Yunt, Brandon Sellers, Dan Hutt, and also Maggio, who had a not ideal race 1, let's say it that way.
Yeah, Maggio did have great pace though, so he's got a great opportunity to redeem himself, and only a couple of cars to slipstream in front of him. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Maggio near the top 3 at some point in this race.
Yeah, we shall see. One guy who would have liked the top 23 to be reversed is Massimiliano Rivoli.
Indeed.
Who again has to start further back than he would have liked. But now he has got to overtake quite a few more cars to get into the points, as it's getting trickier and trickier for him. Being third in the standings right now today is going to hurt quite a bit for that.
Indeed it will, Stephen. So shall we go through the full order then before race 2 begins? The pack, of course, being led, as we said, by David Yunt and we go immediately to 5th there, so I've got a lot of cars to catch up. But the David Yunt leading for priority 1 on provisional pole position then. But for Bradley Sellers right behind him, Dan Hutt will start 3rd, with Matthias Pizgazan in 4th for reading game. Alessandro Maggio lines up 5th in the Academy car ahead of Justin van der Smissen. Magnus Ockenhaug will line up 7th ahead of Dan Hadjic in the other reading game. Maxime Boulio, 3rd in race 1, will start 9th in race 2 ahead of Patrick Magnussen for Powerhouse. Jack Nichols will start 11th ahead of Roy Seifert. Remember those two battling away. They're going to be battling again then at the beginning of this race 2. Sever Panasenko will start 13th ahead of Scott Mitchell-Malm and race 1 winner Luke Mitchell. Jörn Dix will start 16th ahead of Luca Gray. Johannes Leppert will start 18th ahead of Tommy Oivonen. then it is Craig Patterson for priority 1 in 20th, Mikhail Tuomala in 21st, Louis Hartley in 22nd, Massimiliano Riboli in 23rd, Mihailo Vicentovic in 24th, Noah Tuomela in 25th, Bobby Vakanov 26th, Scott Morris 27th, Dominic Slabon 28th, Brandon Roberts starting 29th, ahead of Victor Cabello, Luca Tizzano, and Lucas Filin ringing up the rear in 32nd.
Yeah, one more guy I see improving quite a bit in race 2 will be Noah Tuomala in 25th. I think he's got a lot more pace than that, so it wouldn't surprise me if he would get into the top 10 maybe.
Yeah, and I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Luke Mitchell and indeed Scott Mitchell-Malm as well are able to get into the top 5 by the end of this as well, like we saw Luke Mitchell do in Australia. In fact, he potentially in race 2 could have got a bit further had he not had a few incidents, unfortunately, while battling for third. But anyway, it's going to get very, very hectic, and I think the first lap here is really going to be all about staying out of trouble.
Yeah, here we can see him, Luke Mitchell. Seemed to have quite a good amount of tire wear left at the end of race 1. Seemed to be better to his tires than his brother. And that's going to be very important for the end of the race, it seems. As we can see, Lucas Thailand, who would wish to be in Imola right now.
Yeah, he's hoping. He can't wait for this one to be over. I looked at him in the back and I thought I was about to say Lucas Filin trundling reluctantly into his grid slot, but I'm sure he's not entirely reluctant. He loves racing. It's just not his favourite track. As the lights now come on, David Yunt on the left, Bradley Sellers on the right. Race 2 gets underway now, and it's a good getaway for David Yunt. But we see Sellers under attack from Dan Hurt. On the outside, Hurt is going to try and thread around, and Bradley Sellers is going to hold the inside and hold them up, but 2 cars. That's one of the reading games getting very squirrely, and somebody spins at the very back there. But David Yunt makes a very, very clean getaway, but it is Dan Hurt up to 2nd, ahead of Bradley Sellers, Alessandro Maggio 4th, and Pizkazan holding on to 5th, as the pack now starts to squabble and slipstream as they approach turn 3.
Yeah, very, very clean so far. Again, the first 2 corners, very nice. And now the first...
and that's Jack Nichols getting a hit from behind. Just managed to save that there. Wow, that was a heart and mouth moment. As we see the Optimal cars getting very close together now. So that looks like not sure who that is, but I think that's Panasenko in a battle with Mitchell-Malm just behind him.
Yeah, very nice, very nicely held by Nichols there. As we can see, a lot of side-by-side action, but so far everything has been clean without any losses of front wings. Now going through the castle section for the first time in dirty air, that's always a tricky point.
Oh, look at that going right to the inside there as well. But everyone gets through in roughly one piece and in the same order as before. Panasenko sort of in a king's sandwich here, which is not ideal for the VMS Sun Edits driver. But anyway, there we go. You see Hutt just about within a second of David Yunt, so he might be able to, in the Hutt performance car, named after himself, of course, Dan Hutt, so he might be able to get a slipstream. Bradley Sellers, though, still right behind him as Hutt actually gets a very bad exit from turn 16, goes right over the curb, and this could give Sellers in the Academy car a brilliant run down the straight here. Look how close he gets to the back of him. And of course, Sellers and Maggio, both teammates in the Academy car, technically. But Sellers will pull to the inside as they approach turn 1 down the long straight for the first time. And has he got DRS? I believe he does, Sellers. So, oh no, it's only the first lap, of course. Yeah, sorry. Mistake there. Sellers is going to brake late. Oh, actually, that's Hutt going a little wide again, and now Maggio is getting reeled in here. David Yunt is breaking away. 2 seconds to the good here. Sellers tries to go up the inside of Dan Hutt into turn 2. They're still side by side. So this is absolutely fantastic. And how Maggio has got to run round the outside of both of them. Surely he's not going to be able to pull this one off as they go into turn 2. And indeed, Dan Hutt is going to hold the inside there. But the 2 Academy cars swap position then. And it's now Maggio into 3rd place.
And all of this is playing.
And now up the inside again into turn 3. Dan Hutt is really struggling here.
Yeah, and all of this is playing into David Yunt's hands perfectly. He's got quite a sizable lead right now as Sellers has to defend from Christian.
Piskazan was getting very ambitious there, trying to go around the outside. Oh, and there's a collision in the back there. Not sure who that was, but two drivers getting very, very close. There's the VMS of Van der Smissen. Hits the wall the outside of turn 7 then. But the order is still David Jent, 3 seconds ahead of Dan Hutt. Maggio, half a second behind. Then Sellers, Piskazan, Van der Smissen, Hajek, Ockenhaug, Bulio, and Mitchell Malm rounding out the top 10. Mitchell Malm just 2 seconds ahead of Nichols then, so it's gotten very hectic behind. Panasenko now battling with Jack Nichols for 11th position. Luke Mitchell is down in 14th there, so he's not made very much progress then from his group position of 15th.
I hope that I'm back. It seems like I had a little bit of disconnect.
No, all good. Oh, one of the reading game cars goes very wide. I think that's Hajek at the exit turn 16. That could allow Ockenhaug to attack then. The top 4 starting to get a little bit spread out, but Maggio still right behind Dan Hutt in the battle for second position. And surely it's not going to be long before DRS is going to come into effect, but the slipstream already making it very, very easy. Maggio pulls to the inside. I think has already got second place before they even get to turn 1. And that looks like a Van der Smissen. Julio is past Hajek and Van der Smissen now fighting. Oh, up the inside! That was a really late dive from Dan Hutt there, and Maggio just survived that one.
Yeah. And you can see Jack Nichols fighting with Panasenko and Seifert, who must have gone ahead of both of them.
Yeah, they were all struggling to make the braking zone for turn 1 there. And they're all swapping positions here, just at the lower end of the top 10. And now here comes Bulio, still finding a way with Dan Hajek, who's got through around the outside. But Bulio back through, up the inside, into turn 2 in the Optimal car.
Yeah, and the first danger man is in P10 right now, Scott Mitchell, is getting through the field quite nicely at the moment.
Yeah, that is actually interesting. So Mitchell Mark being a bit more aggressive in these first few laps, it's paid off for him. He's right behind Ockenhaug in 9th. And there is Phylan, who's actually had a pretty decent getaway from the very back, going up to 27th, staying out of trouble. And he's right behind, that must be Bobby Bakanov just ahead of him then. And in front of that, Luca Tisano.
And so far, the top 31 still being very closely together in a whole train, so incident-free so far, or almost.
Yeah, apart from that,
we only have Dominik Slabonov.
Out of the race offline up front. And there's Piskazan fighting Bradley Sellers now for 4th position. So looks like Bradley Sellers is continuing to struggle to hold on to that top 4 position as Van der Smissen gets very twitchy through 16. They're all struggling with that, aren't they?
Yeah, and Alessandro Maggio is setting the timing screens alive. 2 purple sectors in sector 1 and 2.
That's a very good point.
He's going for that.
Close on Yunt. So Yunt set the fastest lap of the race last time around, but Maggio really started to come into his zone. He was, quite, as you say, 3-4 tenths faster through the first 2 sectors on this lap. And as they complete it, the gap is now below 2 seconds then. So Maggio might fancy a go victory. Piskazan gets up the inside. We're going 3 wide here with Luke Mitchell, and is that Jack Nichols on the outside? Yeah. And Nichols does very well not to hit the wall, but Panasenko clobbers right into it, and that's Luke Mitchell up to 12th position.
Yep.
Nichols through as well then. It's a big mistake from Panasenko there, and that's cost him a few positions there against some very, very highly rated rivals that he's going to struggle to get back through again, I think.
Yeah, Luke Mitchell maybe looking after his tires right now, as Nichols is trying to get by Seva Panasenko, who might have a little bit of damage from that incident. Yeah,
Panasenko used the DRS to get back through on Nichols, actually, because he did get through after the incident. So now Nichols has sort of got to worry a little bit about Luca Gray potentially diving one up the inside of him as he goes well over the curve there, as you've seen the King's cars do all day pretty much. Gap up front 1.5 between the Avidiant and Alessandro Maggio. So Maggio, I think he senses blood here. He senses a victory is up for grabs, and he is really flying at the moment, trying to snatch it away.
Yeah, and
Piskazan sets the fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, Piskazan in P4 doing the fastest lap. And Maggio has Dan Hutt in his slipstream, in his DRS. So it might even be a 4-way battle for the lead quite soon.
Yeah, we've got to wait for the likes of Mitchell Malm, Luke Mitchell, Seifert to get involved as well if they can make their way through the field. But these guys are not making it easy for them. And we are almost halfway through the race, and still the highest of those on the podium from last round is Mitchell Malm in 9th. But here we go. He's right at the back of this battle for 5th with them all quite close together. And it is Hajek next target then, and he's going to get right in the slipstream as they cross the start-finish line imminently and pulls out to the left. Gets a little bit of a tow from those in front as well. But Hajek will try and duke it out around the outside, but surely with the DRS, that's a place gained for Mitchell Malm, and it's getting squabbling behind us. That looks like Luke Mitchell getting involved with Ockenhaug and Seifert. In fact, that's Mitchell through on Ockenhaug into turn 1.
Yeah, Seifert got through on the straight, and Luke Mitchell went by right behind him into turn 1.
Yeah,
These
fast
guys
lap
are
of race for Mitchell Malm as well, 1:59.8. So he's going to become a big threat to those in front then. Maggio, the gap to Yunt, 1.5. So last lap round, he was only about 4 tenths quicker, which is still a considerable amount, but he's not quite setting purple sectors like he was earlier. He's being eclipsed by the likes of Mitchell Malm, Seifert, and Luke Mitchell.
A very strong pace from those guys. In traffic, still doing fast laps. Scott Mitchell is only 6.3 off the lead right now, so it's still possible for him to get into those top 3 positions. Maybe even the win, if the top guys are struggling right now or are starting to fight.
A good move by Tisano there, we just saw just behind Filin, getting past Bobby Vakanov for 28th position. As Mitchell Malm sits another purple first sector. He's the fastest man out there at the moment, right behind Maxime Bouliot. As we continue to watch the battle for 21st position between Morris Tuomela and Filin and a few others. But here is that battle for third, which is probably the more important one, with all due respect. As Van der Smissen once again gets really, really wide, and now through comes Bouliot around the outside before they even get to the straight there. Now, that is brave. You've got to time that well. But once again, now Van der Smissen and Mitchell Malm will get the slipstream as they go over the start-finish line, and Mitchell Malm will get the DRS. He'll have to try and go around the both of them here if he wants to clear them quickly. But side by side they all go. It's 3 wide now as they cross the line, and Sud Wandham's going to have to brake for turn 1 at some point. Here we go. Van der Smissen goes for the inside, but isn't quite able to get the move done, and Bouliot holds on as Scott Mitchell Malm sort of has to back out of that one. As up front, it looks like Hutt and Piskazan and Sellers all starting to converge together.
Yeah, I want to see the wings of Bouliot. He was the car in front. The cars behind had DRS, slipstream, and they were still not as fast as him on the straight. That was really impressive there.
Oh, and that's Piskazan. He's got up to third, passing Dan Hutt into turn 3 there. So Hutt making another error and dropping back down. That puts a Reading Game car onto the podium. We've not seen Reading Game finish on the podium so far this season. So that's great news for Tom Dillon's squad. But Piskazan has got to hold on, and this slipstream battle is going to run and run. Now Sellers fancies a run at Dan Hutt, as he did earlier in the race indeed. But it's going to be for a lower 4th position rather than a podium position.
Yeah, already for Piskazan, this 3rd place for this team. They're further down the standings in the constructors. P3 would be massive for them. And he's
Maggio is continuing to gain on David Yunt. 2 minutes, 0.2 for Maggio, 2 minutes, 0.7 for Yunt. So there we go, another half a second taken out of him. So I think David Yunt is going to be caught before the end of the race as Mitchell Malm just taps the wall on the exit of 15 there. So that shows you just how much he's pushing to try and catch up to Van der Smissen. But now Seifert is the next car behind and could be threatening in the red van as we get into lap 7.
Yeah, it's a massive train, so basically no one has DRS. The only one who is at a disadvantage is Dan Hutt, but I don't.
And here comes Bradley Sellers then, using DRS to get through on Dan Hutt. And Hutt is once again dropped down to 5th position after having started 2nd. And oh, look at this, Mitchell Malm, trying to make Van der Smissen go defensive into turn 1 to put him offline a little bit. As Magnussen sets the fastest lap of the race, down in 16th position, just behind Jack Nichols.
Yeah, he has a lot of pace, Patrica, but luck doesn't seem to be on his side right now.
Tuomela also set the purple sector 2 down in 22nd there, so that shows the pace that he has in some of these parts of the track. But Maggio still, I think, about 1.3, 1.6 behind us. Here we go. That's Mitchell Malm having now to defend a bit from Seifert as they go into through turns 5, 6, and 7 here.
Yeah, Scott Mitchell attacked Justin Van der Smissen and attacked.
And look, he's starting to squiggle around. The tires might be getting a bit overheated on that King's car.
Yeah, and now Mitchell also wants a piece of the cake.
He does, yes. This is turning into a very sliced up cake, the way this is playing out then, Stephen. But
as they all go through the cars section in one piece.
Yeah, it's always a sigh of relief when they all get through there. I
crashed there last year in the FS2 car.
Oh.
So I know how it feels, and there's a massive pile up.
Oh, and that's the reading game. That's Piskazan in the wall and missing the front wing, and he's hit somebody there. That puts Bradley Sellers back up to third, and Bulio, Van der Smissen, and Mitchell Malm go through as well. But that's a big shame that I think he might have been attacked by Sellers there, and just Piskazan just got caught up with him through turn 14 and 13 there.
Yeah, this is a really big shame. He got up there so nicely, and
yeah, Tom Dillon will be
those would have been very important
livid with that.
For the team.
And here we go then.
See a 3-wide battle maybe.
Yeah, this is Mitchell Malm, Van der Smissen, and Seifert. Oh, Seifert going right towards the wall there, and he's going to try and do a triple move here, round the outside of both of them, but not quite able to do so. But there we go. So Van der Smissen is dispensed with, and now Seifert and Mitchell Malm will continue to battle over 5th position then.
Yeah, up front, the pace seems to have calmed down a bit for Maggio, and looking at the gaps and the fighting behind, with only...
It was a tenth slower that lap.
With only 6 laps to go now. It's getting quite feisty, and we're now at a point where I think that Scott Mitchell isn't...
And here comes Seifert on the outside. Yeah, Mitchell Malm is really... He's got great straight line speed, but he's really having to do all his defending in the corners here. And Bulio has also been able to get past Bradley Sellers as well. Let's look at the slide on that King's car once more. So Mitchell Malm doing a great job to hold on to that 5th position at the moment. But Seifert, you've got to think he's feeling confident down if he can get DRS at the right moment. But here we go. This is the battle further down for 15th between Tuomala, Gray, Dix, Patterson, Magnussen. And all of them in a line with looks like Gray is really under attack from Dix here.
Yeah, pretty close together.
Oh, mistake from Gray. And this is where we saw a crash not too long ago. So Luca Gray really needs to watch himself then in the KK car. But it looks like the red Ven of Dix is sizing him up, but Patterson is also getting involved here too. Patterson, who has seen his teammate run away with the race up front, he wants to get back into the top 15 as well. Oh, and that looks like Luca Gray's teammate having a bit of a crash there.
Yeah, this is going to be a slipstream and DRS fest right now.
It's gonna be. It has been so far, and that's of course I think that was Filin going into the wall there. As we go 5 laps remaining then. So Maggio is running out of time here. Here we go. This is Patterson going to try around the outside of Dix. And Dix has also got the DRS on Gray in front of them. So that allows Dix to ride on the coattails. Here comes Patterson through. Is he going to make a double move here? Yes, he is. And just squeezes Luca Gray into the wall there. And there's another incident behind as well, where everyone collects themselves up and continues on. As Seifert still right behind Mitchell Malm in the battle for 4th place up front.
They were side by side briefly, looking at the Delta.
Oh, big crash! And that's Dix into the back of Tuomela, and the two of them are surely out of the race there. Oh, and that's one of them upside down. That looks like Luke. Oh,
that looked like some sort of a screen freeze.
That's Tuomela got collected in that somehow as well, and the front wing off, and the car righted, thankfully. And so able to continue, but that was a scary, scary moment there.
Yeah, it really looked like a screen freeze for the guy ahead. The closing speed, very unlucky. Yeah. I know how that feels. I had that last year as well.
Nothing that Dix could have really done to avoid that one, I don't think. But anyway, the battle rages on up front, unimpeded, I guess, with Van der Smissen now on the back of Sellers. I remember Sellers getting in that incident. And he's actually lost a few more places because Mitchell Malm is now back up into the top 4 now, with Seifert right behind him, and Luke Mitchell too in the top 6 now. So they are starting to work their way back into the podium fight. So Bulio is going to be under threat pretty soon. Van der Smissen having a few moments, has sort of hung on to the battle in front of him and could have a go at Bradley Sellers. Sellers will see it coming from a long way back. It's going to have to be quite the DRS pass, but up front, Mitchell now has got Cypher in his sights. Then he wants to increase that lead he has over him in the Drivers' Championship. But Mitchell knows he doesn't really have to win this race too, but he would certainly like to get on the podium if possible. And there is that Bulio car in third in the optimal entry.
Yeah, but
and dismissal just falls short.
Had a very, very good straight line speed, so even when they get in the DRS, I think it's going to be very, very hard for them to pass.
Oh, and Magnussen gets past Hartley for 18th place there in the DRS. With Phelan just behind them. Oh, and that's really deep for Dix into turn one, but he mercifully avoids the wall as he's trying to recover from that incident, which cost him a lot of time and places.
Yeah, it's a wonder he didn't lose his front wing there.
It is, yes. But it was a very, very dramatic moment. That's why I shouted so much. But anyway, 4 laps to go then. And Cypher once again finds himself in the Mitchell brothers sandwich with Luke behind and Scott in front of him.
And looking at the gap up front, Jant has a 6-second gap to Scott Mitchell-Malm. I think the laps will run out for Scott Mitchell-Malm.
Maggio's got the gap down to a second though. He was 2 tenths faster last time around, so he started to claw back a little bit.
Yeah, they're
so
all
Maggio's not out of this yet.
They're all doing personal bests. 2 minutes 0.2 versus 2 minutes flat. And now Luke Mitchell is very, very close to Royce Seifert, but overtaking into this corner usually ends up in
you saw him have to back out there. Yeah, he really had to think about turning in a bit later than he wanted to and decided it wasn't really worth it.
And Seifert now has to look that he doesn't lose the DRS from Scott Mitchell, who's on the edge. And now with a slipstream for Scott Mitchell.
Yeah, Bulio is looking like Optimal are really going to have to fight to hold on to this podium, aren't they, Stephen? Because Mitchell-Malm is coming through like a steamroller here.
Yeah, but I expect Bullier to have the best chance to defend himself because of his top speed. As we can see, Seva Panasenko going up into P8 past Sellers.
Yeah, there we go. So Sellers overcome by both VMS cars now, which is a shame for him, but he should be able to hold on to the top 9 as long as Dan Hadjic doesn't catch up to him. Here's Dan Hutt. After that earlier incident, I forget exactly what happened to Dan Hutt in all the madness of this race. I think he might have been involved in the Bradley Sellers and the reading game. It was Pizkazan, of course. There's a Scott Mitchell-Malm going a bit wide into turn 3, which allows Bulio to pull away a bit.
That might just save Roy Seifert, as Scott Mitchell was almost out of DRS now. And Bullier has done a 59.7 last lap, so Bullier is also upping the pace.
Seifert starting to drive really either defensively or just going really wide by mistake in some of these corners. The tyres might be tyre wear might be starting to play a factor now in this latter stages of the race. And look at them launching over that curve on the inside, as they have done all race, to be honest. But wow,
Mitchell is really
as you say, has got the gap to under 7 tenths now. As Mitchell-Malm has set another fastest lap last time around 159.1. So he might be able to get on the podium, but it's 3.6 between Bulio and Maggio. So really, and that's Dix. Damage too great and having to retire from the race then, which is a big shame for him. And he joins the list of retirements then.
And this lap might be the lap that Luke Mitchell has a great chance, as I don't think Roy Seifert still has the DRS. The rear tires might overheat on his car, and Luke Mitchell is very close to him now.
Yeah, surely Luke Mitchell is going to try something here with the DRS, but of course, Seifert's got it as well, and David Yunt has fallen behind Maggio, so Maggio got the run and has taken the lead ahead of them. But here we go, Luke Mitchell trying to go around the outside of Roy Seifert, and he's done it, there we go. But there's the lead as Maggio has taken the lead, I think in much the same way we saw Luke Mitchell just get past Seifert.
Using very the DRS. Nice move done by Luke Mitchell around the outside in turn 1.
That's got to be frustrating on the penultimate lap for David Yunt to lose the lead. But if he can keep with Maggio, he might be able to counter-attack here. But Maggio has had electric pace, really, throughout this race, has kept his tyres alive and has now picked the moment to strike.
Yeah, he used the DRS to perfection. He's done a 1 minute 59.4, which is only 3/10 of the fastest lap done by Scott Mitchell. Very nice pace.
Dan Hadjic has also gotten into the top 9, past Bradley Sullers, so that's good news for Reading Game. It'll be gutted to lose that podium, but they're back into the top 9, and Hadjic doing a very solid recovery drive in this race. But Maggio confident through the castle section, and Davidian, I'm not sure he's got the pace unless he can time the DRS perfectly. I have a feeling that Maggio is going to be able to hold on here. Such is his pace here.
Yeah.
And we got to also keep an eye on Mitchell, Malm, and Bulio fighting for third, not far behind these guys. 3 seconds, I said.
Don't forget Luke Mitchell. He's right behind them.
Yeah, Luke Mitchell wants to get another one up on his brother. Oh, look at that mistake from Davidian at turn 16, and that is going to allow Maggio to really stretch his legs here as they approach the final lap of the race. So I think that's a crucial error there for Davidian. So Maggio's really just got to bring it home now, and could take a landmark win in Formula Sprint 2.
Yeah, only being in the academy car, so most likely not having a primary drive for this season. I think this is a perfect drive to say hello, sign me up.
Yes, exactly. And here comes Luke Mitchell.
On the inside.
Yeah, and is Scott Mitchell Malm going to turn in? He's going to stick around the outside and just keeps out of the wall. But is it all for nothing, though? Because Luke Mitchell has the momentum to sweep in front. And now it's going to be down to DRS here as they approach turn 3. And there's Cypher a few seconds behind them now.
Yeah, that was a Mitchell of race 1.
It was, yes, almost. But again, Mitchell Malm having good reactions to keep out of the wall. Is he going to? No, he thinks better of diving up the inside in turn 3. And now Luke Mitchell is next in line to attack Bulio. Could be another podium for Luke Mitchell then.
Look at the time from Luke Mitchell. 158.5, that would have been pole.
Wow. That really shows how fast he's been pushing. But of course, when he set the qualifying lap, he didn't have a big car punching a hole in the air in front of him. As Mitchell Malm really pushing to get back in front of his brother. But he sees the dying of the light in front of him. There's not enough time left in this race, really, as Maggio has almost got a full second now ahead of Davidian. So it's looking unlikely that Yent is going to be able to make a last gasp bid for victory here. But wow, race 2 is certainly throwing up some surprises here. But Maggio is going to could well be a shock winner here, I think it's fair to say. Well, yellow in the first sector, but that won't affect those coming through now.
Maggio has shown his pace in qualifying and race 1. Didn't have the best of luck in race 1, but in race 2 he used his pace, he used his grid position to perfection.
He did indeed, and here comes Maggio now, just straight in front of him. Davidian is too far back to mount a challenge. Victory in race 2 in Baku goes to the Italian Alessandro Maggio in the academy car, his first win in Formula Sprint 2. Bulio is going to hold on to third from Luke Mitchell, with Scott Mitchell Malm just losing out on 4th position there, and Cypher also making a challenge there for 6th. Then it's going to be Panasenko getting in front of his teammate Van der Smissen. Hadjic will hold on to 9th from Bradley Sullers, and there's this looks like Gutt and Patterson still dueling away, and I think Patterson just got there in time before Dan Hutt arrived. So Hutt, a disappointing race for him, sadly, I think, given where he started. But here comes Vincentovic. He's got a run on Cabello with the DRS. Cabello might not be able to hold on to that 24th position, but he's going to try and duke it out as they go across the line. Who is going to finish ahead? It is Vincentovic. Oh, and he locks up really heavily. I think he's blown the engine as he crossed the line there. So the ST racing car survived for only as long as it needed to. But full marks to Mihailo Vincentovic for really pushing it all it was worth at the end there. And Davidian, I think, still happy with second, but will regret that mistake really costing him and allowing Maggio to streak away at the end there.
Yeah, but starting from the pit lane, getting a point in race 1, getting P2 in race 2, I guess he can be very, very happy with his performance.
Yeah, maybe we'll interview David afterwards and see what he has to say about that, because that's quite a story for him. And some good points for his team as well. But let's have a look now. Everyone's crossed the line at the final results. So there we go. Confirmation then. Alessandro Maggio winning in race 2 here in Baku for Formula Sprint 2 ahead of David Yunt. Maxime Brulio takes third, a podium for Optimal Esports, which he'll be happy with, I think, after how race 1 went. Luke Mitchell is fourth for Alpha Sierra Sim Racing to once again extend that lead in the Drivers' Championship, which is looking pretty imperious indeed. Scott Mitchell-Malm takes a very strong 5th position, despite losing out to his brother. Roy Seifert takes the top 6 for Red Van Racing, ahead of the 2 VMS Sun edits of Seva Panasenko and Justin van der Smissen, who put on a pretty decent show for us. And Hadjic takes 9th for Reading Game. Bradley Sullers rounds out the top 10 after starting in 2nd position. Then in 11th place, it's Magnus Ockenhaug in the 2nd optimal car. Massimiliano Riboli finished 12th ahead of Jack Nichols, who had a really eventful race too, I think it's fair to say. Mikhail Tuamala, 14th ahead of Craig Patterson, as Stavidian fits in a little Tokyo drift for us, or a Baku drift, I should say. Then it is Dan Hutt in 16th, just behind Patterson at the def there. Luca Gray, 17th. Patrick Magnussen, 18th. Lucas Filin, 19th. Louis Hartley in 20th. Then Bobby Vakunov, 21st, ahead of Luca Tizano. Scott Morris, 23rd, ahead of Mihailo Vincentovic, who just beat Victor Cabela over the line. Brandon Robert finishes 26th, ahead of Johannes Lepit. And then our retirements are Jörn Dix, Noah Tumela, Mateusz Pizikan, despite running 3rd, had such a strong race up to that point, Tommy Koivunen, and Dominic Slabon.
Yeah,
so
it's been a real shame for Piskazan.
Yes.
Being in P3, doing some nice moves.
And Koivunen having that massive flip as well was quite a scary moment too, I think.
Yeah.
But, anyway, so next up, it was originally scheduled for this week, will be the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix on the 25th of April. So keep an eye out for that. But before we leave, let's have a few interviews with some of the waiting drivers, shall we, Steve?
I can see Maggio being in the interview channel.
Oh, he's not in the interview channel anymore. Alessandro Maggio, winner of race 2 here in Formula Sprint 2 in Baku, is here to talk to us right now. So, Alessandro, congratulations. It seems every time I commentate on you, you win. Finally, a race 2 win for you, Alessandro. How do you feel?
I mean, I don't know. It's a mix of emotions because, race 1 was, yeah, not.
That was my
that
reaction
good.
too.
Yeah, exactly. But race 2, everything went surprisingly well. Like, my pace wasn't that bad. I didn't make any silly mistakes. I didn't, get that much damage as in race 1. But yeah, at the end, I just won because I had, I think, more top speed. But yeah, that's it. Yeah, I'm really happy.
When you were catching David, was there ever a moment where you thought, he's a bit too far ahead? Because he did have a big gap of like 2 seconds at one point, and you just kept closing and closing. And then I think after you got through, David made a mistake at turn 16, and that sort of kept him out of the slipstream and DRS. So from then on, he couldn't really mount a challenge at the end there. So were you breathing a sigh of relief at that point, or did you think, I just need to keep out the walls here?
Well, I mean, I knew he was really, really quick on the straights because even with DRS, I wasn't, closing the gap down. So I was thinking to myself, okay, I just need to be clean, but not like take it easy, because if I take it too easy, I think he'll pass me back on the straight. I don't want that on the final straight of the race, So yeah, when I saw he did a slight mistake in turn 16, it was, yeah, I relaxed a little bit, but I fully relaxed when I only crossed the line, but because that's the only moment you can do that, really. So
Alessandro, it's rare that we see Academy car winning FS2. So you from what I understand, you don't have a full-time contract anywhere.
Nope.
So even though race 1 was a bit messy, you still recovered to 11th, and here you've won. So from where did you start on the grid? It was 4th, wasn't it?
5th.
I think 5th. There we go. Oh, it was better than I thought. Right. So surely anyone watching this is gonna, especially after your success in Academy, would be well advised to hire you. You've certainly put your name in the shop window, as it were.
I mean, I hope so, but the thing is, I don't think I'm quite ready yet because, starting in the mix, in race 1, I was starting 8th. I couldn't get a clean lap in, as always in qualifying, because that's just me. And then, yeah, in race 1, I was just too messy, and I went for dumb moves and all. So I think I need a little bit more experience yet to, sign a full contract. But I'll be happy to whenever it comes.
Are we going to see more of you in Academy, by the way?
Yes, of course.
Oh, great. Can't wait to commentate on another victory in you for race 1 this time, Alessandro.
I hope.
Anyway, thank you very much for coming to talk to us, and best of luck for next time we see you racing.
Thank you. Good night.
Right, shall we drag David in then, Stephen?
Yes.
Edward Hunter.
Oh, hey, David. Oh, you're just saying my name. Sorry, I dragged you in there without giving you much warning, but we're on the clock here, David. So, congratulations on going from the pit lane in race 1 to 15th, and then to 2nd. Although, admittedly, there's some frustration because the man we just spoke to just got the better of you at the end there. But certainly not what you would have been expecting coming into race 1, given where you started.
Let me see. My microphone is working. Yeah, I mean, when you're driving, like you're thinking, oh, if I had a bit more on this and that, I could get that one. But to be honest, like, I was like messaged way off, like 8 o'clock here, like saying Craig's teammate's missing for like. Haven't heard anything from through his Wi-Fi, and then okay, yeah, I get the packages, I get everything ready to drive. I had to eat my dinner too. Bits hectic. Come back. Yeah, okay, get in. Like warm-ups ending. In-game mouse is not showing me where I click. At least I'm starting with pit lane, so that's no problem. And then yeah, get everything at least adjust the setup or load it. Get out of track, learn how the car kind of feels with the force feedback that I hadn't practiced with on the direct drive, and then just drive and drive. Evade like the cars that crash or go into incidents. And I'm sorry for you, but like, Craig was said, if you have like DRS, if you're that close, you just do it. You do it. I'm sorry for you, but I took P15 on the last stretch from him, and then it was like, yeah, okay, like whatever happens now. Like if I'm in traffic, I killed that first turn. Like the server changed. The next session didn't work, so I had to go out, come back, nearly missed the race. And I'm like, oh, hey, you're doing like the Victor Silva thing again. You're on reverse park, and I'm like, oh, great. And then yeah, I'm thinking bad start. No, I'm not doing a bad start. Okay start. And I'm keeping the lead. Okay, works well. And then only like Alessandro gets past Dan. He has the better, like, I think he's got the more, I mean, I've got like no, like, I don't know what to say. I'm not sure about my line, so like I could lock up or head for the wall. He's got a bit more, he practiced, of course. He's got probably a good, and he's got great grip in the castle section, or even before I had not good lines and such. And even though on the straight, the setup that I got, we were faster, but he got closer and closer. And then of course on the pit straight, I'm like, yeah, even though I could, but I don't want to risk it. Like the guys behind, they are far away, but if we fight, and there's the fast Mitchells, there's Roy Seifert, there's all these guys. I'm like, I'm gonna secure second. I'm just swimming with Alessandro, see if he makes a mistake. I kept within a second. I was close, but I think for priority 1, I think I'm glad I could help them with like 1 and then another few points in the second race. So can't ask for much more than that. So I'm very happy with that.
Yeah, and it was a very good drive then, David. And and certainly you shouldn't apologize for making the moves in race 1, because like you say, if there's a DRS opens and there's someone to be overtaken, then a racing driver makes the overtake. It doesn't matter if it's on the line or in the beginning of the race or the end of the race. So anyway, I think it was very sensible in the end. I know there must have been a little bit of frustration when you made that mistake after Alessandro got through at turn 16 and you saw him start to pull away out of range, as it were. Or did you think, well, I'm still second, so considering I came in at the last minute and everything that happened by the sounds of things, you can be happy with that and getting good points for priority 1. And I'm sure Tom Ellie will be looking to replicate that next time when he comes back in his seat. So
I held on longer than I expected to. Like first Alessandro's first lap in free. I was like, yeah, it's like 5 times per lap or something like that. But I also got a bit faster, and then it was a bit tighter because on the straights he would not gain anything without DRS. I'm like, yeah, that could be the hope, and I was concentrating hard. But yeah, at some point I was maybe a bit too early on the brakes, and others I locked up, and then yeah, I had some small moments where like the front was like starting to aim somewhere else, and then he came closer. I couldn't even tell you when you were saying like I made that mistake. Like I will remember it maybe later, but I also made like every small mistake, so I didn't really notice where I made
I'm
the
being
big
very
one.
judgmental. You're right, David.
So
Sorry.
to be honest, yeah, I would have liked to win, but to be honest, again, coming out with no practice laps and just basically doing all of the race laps, getting second, I can't ask much more for that, and I'm happy with that.
Okay, thanks for coming to talk to us, David, and congrats on your second place and from pit lane to podium. So you can't ask for too much more than that, and I'm sure we'll see you again next time you're racing. So best of luck then.
Thank you. Maybe.
Oh, fingers crossed, because we always love seeing you in action, David. Always so much fun to watch and to talk to afterwards, of course.
Yeah, thanks. I'm just littering up here. Like, can he stop chatting already?
Yeah, I'm looking at the wait for interview, and it looks like I was going to drag Patrick Magnussen in, but it seems that he started his own stream, and he seems to be watching the start again. So I don't know what to do here. Shall I drag him in?
Drag him in.
See what happens.
Drag him into the green room.
All right.
So he has got
Thank you
some
very
time
much,
to
David,
prep.
and I'll
Bye-bye.
see you again soon. Oh, sorry to interrupt, Patrick, but we're joined now by Patrick Magnussen. Sorry to end the stream there. We wanted to do a very brief interview before we leave, if that's okay. So, interesting day for you. Unfortunately, not one filled with a lot of points, sadly.
Yeah.
But race one, a couple of incidents, but I think you finished. Did you finish in the top 10, Patrick?
P6, I think.
P6, yes. You had a bit of a difficult start, and then you recovered to P6.
Mm-hmm.
And then race two, was it you were the one I remember being upside down?
No, that was my teammate.
Oh, it was your teammate. Sorry.
I finished, I think P17 or 16.
Okay, yeah, but certainly very eventful day for you. So talk us through it if you can.
So race one, I had a very good start. I was ahead of Seba and Maxime, so I was like P3 before going to turn one. But then I saw Seba braking a little late, so I took like a little waiting action. But I got too wide, so I started just losing position from there, and I was down to I think P9 or P10 by turn 3. So I had to fight my way up from that. Had a little bit of collisions with people, of course. But I was able to get Maxime in the end. But race 2 was kind of a different story. I think turn 1 I got hit by someone, not mentioning names. And I think lap 3, I think it was Gut's stream I was watching. And I was exiting chicane, and somebody went across and moved me into the wall, and I got a little bit of side pod damage, but I was able to carry on. Then I went more downwards, but I was able to climb back up to like P16, 17. But not a good race at all.
Yeah, but certainly a challenging one, and
Yeah.
one where you really had to get your elbows out. It felt like there were points where things got very physical, especially at the beginning of race 1 and a bit in race 2 as well. So it really feels like you've really got to kind of get your elbows out, and you've got to sort of hold on to positions, and especially when you're being slipstream from so far back, it's quite difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And also we had, I had hired my front wing by 1, which fucked us kind of in the straight, because I had no straight line speed to overtake anyone, so I was kind of stuck behind everyone. But I could make the time in the corners, but not in the straight, unfortunately.
Yeah, anyway, so I know P6 and P18 is not going to be ideal for you, but hopefully you can have a better time of it in Saudi Arabia next time out, Patrick. So thanks for coming to talk to us.
Nürburgring, because I won't make it to Jeddah, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I don't think I'll be commentating there either. So good luck for Nürburgring.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. So I think the only other person in the race in the interviewing room who's waiting is Noah Tuamela.
Yeah,
if I'm right, Steve. Okay. Should we get Noah in?
Yeah.
Let's see what he has to say about his race, because he certainly had an interesting
lot to
time.
say.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I think Noah might be the last one then. Would help if I actually.
Christian Vastar is the team boss of KV86. If you want to move him as well.
Okay. You want me to put Vader in? Vazdar, sorry, in
Yeah.
as well?
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
I will move Patrika and David out.
Oh, sure thing. So we're joined now by Christian Vazdar and Noah Tuamela from KV8 Powerhouse, I believe. So Noah, are you there?
Hello, yes I am.
That was an interesting day for you. We just talking to your teammate, and of course he got P6 in race 1 and then a difficult race 2. So talk us through your pair of races, because race 2 I know had a very dramatic moment for you, where you and another driver made a pretty big contact. I think it was it Dix you were fighting
Yes,
with?
it was Yondex, yeah.
Yeah, something happened with Dix in race 2, but overall all of these races were a complete, well, what's the word? They were horrible.
Bit
Both
of a
them
mess.
were horrible at me. Yeah, mess.
A
Fest.
write-off. Yes.
Maybe,
as we say
in my
the
opinion, this track should be thrown off the calendar, but yeah.
Oh, I
race
think
1,
Lucas Filen agrees with you.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, race 1 started kind of easily, but then that something happened on turn 3, 4, something. I got taken out, so did Tylin and a bunch of others. Got there. Then around the last turn, Tylin gets taken out by a front wing, and I crash into him. I lose my front wing, and I need to pit, so that loses a lot of time, and I go way out of the points. So that's race 1, basically. Race 2 went smoothly, mostly. Then that thing happened with Bjorn, and that's it. Well, it's over.
Well, from the outside, it looked like a screen freeze on your end. How was it on your end?
Yeah, I have a lot of screen freezes in race 2. That's what happened in Australia, I think, a couple of times. So I think I know how to fix it now. So I'll try and do that for the next races.
Oh, well, that is encouraging to hear. No, so best of luck, by the way, for those future races. I think before we head off, shall we talk to Christian Vazdar? Christian, are you there?
I am here. Yep.
Good. So I believe you are the team boss of
That is indeed the case.
KV86 Powerhouse. So bit of a mixed day. P6 in race 1, but otherwise a kind of difficult, lots of incidents there. So what are your feelings on this race in Baku then?
Well, we had worse days, definitely. It's nice to score points, at least in race 1. A lot of things could have went better, could have went our way that didn't. I know, of course, had that penalty from last week as well. So we would have been happy if both cars managed to score points at some point, or if we managed to score points in both races at least. With Pat's lag of some sort as well that happened in race 2, I guess it just wasn't meant to be today.
Have you got anyone in mind to fill in for Patrika for the next round in Saudi Arabia?
We have a reserve or emergency driver ready. He just didn't want to drive in Baku at all. And I guess Junio's longer absence means that we needed to find a longer term replacement as well. I don't know how long, but he might stay with us for a while. We'll see. He's doing a good job now, and we're happy with him.
That's great to hear. I too know the difficulty of trying to fill a couple of seats when you got people with various schedules throughout the year. But anyway, I think congrats on the P6 and better luck for the rest of the season. And I guess we'll see you again in Saudi in a couple of weeks' time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes.
Right. So I think that's pretty much all we've got time for, Stephen. But of course, for the rest of the week, GPVWC, we are back for Formula Sprint 1. Of course, the category just above the one that you've just watched today. That is on the 13th. So that would be Thursday night. So look forward to more action from Azerbaijan then. And then I'll be back with Academy on the 17th, which is, of course, the Monday in just under a week. So we got that to look forward to from the Red Bull Ring at 7:30 onwards. So, Stephen, any final thoughts before we sign off from what's been a very entertaining couple of races in Baku?
Yep. It's been very nice today. A lot less chaotic than I thought, as Baku is usually known for those kind of things. But especially race 2 was really nice, very clean at the start. And yeah, let's hope that Formula Sprint 1 on Thursday is going to be as exciting as today.
Yeah, but anyway, congratulations once more to our two winners, Luke Mitchell and Alessandro Maggio. The next round of FS2 will, of course, be the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix on the 25th, near the end of the month, on that Tuesday. So look forward to that. But from me, Edward Hunter, from Stephen, and from Vincent on the cameras, it's goodbye from Baku, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.